seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Dire team ban. Team ban. Ban.
I bet on. Good for you.
Ready?
Yeah.
One.
Hello guys, and welcome back. We are about to start with the draft. Gambit Esports and Winstrike. This is the first game of this series. Remember guys, for those of you that are coming here bright and early, we really appreciate you, of course. Special followers. If anyone comes into the stream, they're like, oh, what game is it? What's happened? Just, there's commands for that. ! score, and you can check out the scores currently. You can check out the languages, and if you're interested in, of course, our Twitter's channel, the cast, there's.
Yep, we can't tell you what kind of model this van. And that's gonna have to.
No. Especially because if this is my channel, I don't drive, so I don't know what car. The first time I'm in a car.
True, the very first time. But we also have picks now out between Gambit and Winstrike. Let's go ahead and take a look.
10 seconds.
Just pull into that draft real quick.
Let's go. Gambit Esports versus Winstrike. Exciting match. We did mention this in the pre-show, I guess we can call that.
It was a short one, but it was a pre-show.
Gambit will be once again playing with a stand-in from Totally Spies, which is Pubber. You guys might remember him from, well, being in a bunch of the Tier 2 CIS teams. Previously known for, well, I know him actually from No Lifers, where
10 seconds remaining.
and he now plays support, particularly known for his Crystal Maiden, really stands out. But he has a couple other supports. He's mostly like the Oracle, Crystal Maidens, you know, these kind of like very, very consistent vibes.
Of course, and just in case, just to point it out now, because if you're just tuning in or if you're listening to us on Dota TV, there is a level 2 draft penalty applied here to the side of Gambit Esports, as they did not proclaim, I suppose. Sounds very official, but they didn't announce their substitute until whatever the rules say they have to. So that's why they have a level 2 draft penalty, I believe only for game number 1.
Yeah, it should only. I
believe that's what the admin said. He did specify game number 1, so that's what we're going to run with here. So they are going to have a little bit of time missing, as you can see. Seconds, not inconsequential, but just keep that in the back of your mind.
Might suck a bit because I know that Ain is also like the drafting, of course, for Gambit is done for the whole team in general. Everyone inputs, but I know that Ain is one of their main drafters as well, as he was in Singularity together with XS Vamp. Must suck a bit when that guy particularly. Ain is for sure, or supposed to be technically also the captain, or the in-game captain, as they say. He's somewhere between 4 and 5. He's not the most 5 guy, but contrasts very heavily with Pubber, who is hard 5, right? And Gambit might struggle a bit. Patience. Hopefully, for the next game of the league, we'll see a full team for Gambit, because the second time they have to play with Pubber. Not that I'm sad. I love Pubber, but it's unfortunate that we don't get to see Ain. They start with the Nyx Assassin and the Batrider. Both of these picks pretty solid in general because the Nyx Assassin is a counter to Batrider, right? So Batrider just gets a free... You get to not have to ban the Nyx, and Nyx is useful in almost every single match, so that's great. And Bat's also really good against Lycan, which is why it surprises me that they still pick the Lycan here.
Yeah, you in fact, I had 2 things to say about the draft, and you countered both of them. You touched upon both of them, so I guess I'm going to go with the other thing. That the Lycan, however, is actually not that bad against the Nyx Assassin. Nyx Assassin, he really is able to be successful. I'm going to go with the counter. He's able to be successful when it's only one person dealing damage to him. He doesn't really do too well when it's a crowd, because Lycan can, you know, micro the boys onto him. If they get stunned for a second out of Spike Carapace, that's not necessarily going to kill Lycan. It's annoying for the Necro books and might let the Nyx Assassin live, but the important part there is that it's not a death sentence for Lycan if his Necro books get hit by Spike Carapace. He doesn't really care about that much. Is going to be a little bit weak in that regard, but it is a good hero to be finding the Lycan in the jungle, especially versus a Batrider. We can expect him to be booted out of the lane a little bit earlier, and we've seen plenty of times that this is where Nyx Assassin is actually just really strong. He's able to just invade the jungle and yeah, just interrupt the safe laner's farm.
The difference between Lycan and, say, other multi-unit heroes, let's call them, like Naga Siren or Phantom Lancer, is that Lycan's also really fast. So in the case of Phantom Lancer or Naga Siren, they're good against Nyx, but they sometimes struggle against his initiation, particularly the Impale, and even sometimes the Meteor Hammer combo. Lycan, hitting Lycan with an Impale is honestly impossible. It's only Lycan allows you to do it, unless you have a setup stun, of course.
Unless you have a setup stun, that is, or if you're hunting him in the jungle and he's just farming. We see
But
lots of
shapeshift, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you can get the shapeshift off, you're more or less going to be safe from the Nyx Assassin.
Yes.
The problem comes, I mean, we see Lycans all the time not build boots before BKB. That's not too uncommon, mostly because he is the epitome of, I don't fight without my ulti. He does not fight without his ulti. That's what he does. We've seen a couple of games where the Lycan, they draw out these really long team fights, and then he's just running around with 285, 295 move speed, whatever his base move speed is, and everyone is just able to easily outrun him.
In fact, I want to point out that that's actually one of the reasons his inability to fight without the ultimate, that the last patch buff was such a big deal. Since Feral Impulse now is global, and Lycan doesn't need to be with his units, when Lycan doesn't have his ultimate up, what you can do is actually use your units as the hero, essentially, right? Send your units in, your hero stays out farming somewhere very far away, and your units can get a kill because of Feral Impulse, because they're still really, really buffed. Back in the last patch, or the last few patches, because Feral Impulse had a limit range of 900, you weren't able to really do that, and you were much more limited in the plays. As you said, you were really just a I fight with my ultimate kind of hero. And that was very limiting. You were like a DK with a much shorter ultimate, and that's not great to use, which is why Lycan was not present last meta. Now he's back in again, thanks to that Feral Impulse buff. If you guys are Lycan spammers, or you guys like Lycan like myself, you would understand this.
You take a Lycan to Lycan. Make sure you listen out to Alvaro here.
Aww,
and if you
back to normal roles.
And if you don't take a Lycan to the Bat Rider, you can pick yourself a hard dispel, and who better than the Legion Commander, except for maybe a position 5 Rubik. But the benefit of the Legion is that it's one of the passives that you have already in lane. It's a hero that's going to be up front and center anyway.
There's Pupper's hero, by the way, that I mentioned before.
Position 5 Maiden, that's another thing that can spelled though from the LC, so she's not going to be too bothered here by having the Maiden in lane. It does set yourself up for a pretty nice and consistent safe lane though. Maiden, she's just all right. She's like kind of your all-around support in my opinion. Jack of all trades support. She's got a root, not quite a stun. She's got a slow, which is okay. Good damage for nuking in the lane. She got a great passive for her team, and there's the Oracle actually if you want both the spells. And of course she got a really strong AoE teamfight ultimate that does kind of make you block her down, same as the Oracle here. And now we've got redundant save here for the Lycan, for the LC, for the Oracle, right? It's not just going to be the Legion or the Oracle needing to be able to dispel that Flaming Lasso. Now either one of them can do it.
That's really good, because Legion is usually a hero that when you run her as your save, it's like, well, do I duel first? Because then I don't have the save, I press the attack, and if I don't initiate, then what's the point of having a Legion off lane? It's not like the Abaddon, right? But Legion is better against Bat Rider because the press the attack has actual nice range compared to the Abaddon, where a Photic Shield barely has any range, actually. So Legion is much more capable of dispelling the lasso, particularly against a Bat Rider with Boots of Travel, right? Who's gonna run away
and Oracle has almost no qualms with that, especially once he does get a level 15 talent. He's got that plus 100 cast range, and that normally has him in good position. We also see lots of Oracles actually go for Blink Daggers these days, even on the position 5, just to ensure that they can be there with that potentially at least fight swinging that could be game swinging ulti. It's super, super crucial, especially because it looks like we're tending towards kind of a 4 protect 1 here on the side of Winstrike. I will say for Gambit, it's kind of as well. It looks like everyone kind of plans to play without their core for the first 15 minutes unless they have their big fighting ability. Metamorphosis for the DD, obviously Shapeshift for the Lycan. If those are available and they're fighting near a teleport spot or fighting near the farming, then they'll show up. But for the most part, I think we're going to see a lot of fights here with the first 3 picks from Gambit and these last.
Yeah. The TB, I'm kind of like, I like the core-to-core matchup between TB and the... I like the core-to-core matchup between the TB and the Lycan, because Lycan is not a hero that can build mixed damage really. That's one of his actual biggest issues. If you think of all the mixed damage items in Dota, like MKB, Mjolnir, etc., these items all depend on one thing. It's called attack speed. 1 agility gain per level, which means you barely get any attack speed. You also lack armor. So Terrorblade is great at countering you in that sense. That's also why Monkey King nowadays is also very strong. Like it. He's always been. And the case here for Winstrike is that they still have a Legion Commander, and now she has to become more of a presence to be able to deal with the Terrorblade, because she's probably one of the better heroes they have in their draft. Rubik and Oracle are fine supports against TB, but this Lycan is going to struggle. So now Winstrike needs to pick up ideally either a mid laner or a carry, as Gambit thinks, that can deal with a TB and can win that quarter.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. I mean, they can try and just win the early game as well. You could very easily do that with a Legion Commander. She can carry you games from the offlane if you have a mid laner that complements her very nicely. The thing that comes to mind personally is a Quasik Zord Invoker, right? Sun strikes very early on. You've got a pretty nice aggressive lane with lots of damage, the Rubik and LC bind. Your safe lane is going to be it's going to be difficult, but since you have the Dispel of the Fortune's End lane for Lycan, it shouldn't be too much of a bloodbath for you. And your mid lane matchup, well, since you have last pick, you can always ideally at least ball rolling there. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of global presence here, like the Invoker, just for the dual setups, and maybe LC can be that sort of force, your great initiation to lock down perhaps the TB.
The Beastmaster is going to be the final pick.
So it's a mid lane Bat Rider, most likely.
It seems like it. I mean, I guess you have some. What I like about the flex possibility of the Beastmaster is that he is a hero that can go mid if your matchup is too awful for Bat Rider. Is not unseen before, so there's a bit of that flexibility here. But it is interesting that you're forcing the Bat Rider to go mid. I guess to counter the Lycan. Like, you're very convinced Lycan is going to go mid, and then Winstrike picks up the Alk. Let's see where they run this, honestly. Because if I was them, I would just run the Lycan as your carry and run the Alchemist mid, because you kind of sold yourself with this beast. I would have rather seen a Pango to be... Like, if you're going to pick something that's a bit more flex, I would have rather seen a Pango. Beastmaster is fine, but there's nothing too special about Beastmaster. Primal Roar is the one thing that's good against Lycan, but you have double save for that.
Yeah, exactly. Both dispellable by the hard dispels, of course. So that's not going to include Fortune's End. It's going to need the False Promise or the Legion Commander. What's it? Or press the attack, right? Yeah. Yeah. And the last pick, Alchemist. The Cheshire Cat offline here.
It's gonna be. They're gonna still force the Lycan. Well, okay. So Rabel, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce the BL, unfortunately, just for that guy. Rabel is gonna be playing the Lycan in the. I don't know if he's going to play in mid or if they're going to swap positions, because I think it's a bit crazy to still run Lycan versus Bat, particularly in the mid lane, where you struggle the most.
When you don't have any support, notably from your Oracle, which is kind of, I think, the whole point of picking the Oracle, because you already have the check mark for the Bat Rider lasso. It's more of here being able to dispel or being able to deal with the napalm in lane. Enough. So yeah, it's going to be really, really strange. I agree if they do at the end of the day decide to run this Lycan versus the Bat Rider.
Yeah, agree. And what I don't understand is also, I mean, I think the Alchemist is a fine pick for them. It's a bit odd. I don't think the Alch in the core, like, carrier mid position is that strong anymore. He's been much more seen, or I think with more success in the recent buffs in the offlaner 4 position. But the Alchemist, even though he can work, it should be him that's, if anything, riding against Bat Rider, because he has a... I guess they're both suck against Bat Rider, though. You kind of put yourself in a position where Bat is going to be able or what, and that's really tough. I don't know if that was the best play for them.
We'll see. Gambit are going to smoke up as 5 here, nice and early on. We're starting to see more and more of this here, especially as the DPC continues. They're going to go head right into the river. Smoke's going to break. They're going to see Yamich. Unfortunately, he's going to be a bit too fast for them, but vision as well here on Cheshire Cat. Well, is holding a really great position, so they're going to be held in the smoke for now. Pubber and Blizzy perhaps trying to bait, but I think the Gambit's not paid off here. Beak.
Yeah, the Gambit has not paid off just yet, as they were looking for the typical CIS. I mean, I think we've seen this play every single CIS game, or sorry, Eastern European game, where they go for the initial smoke.
Yeah, they either go for the play or they acknowledge they have no early game potential to
they
fight,
super defensive.
And then they like play behind the tower, and they only get the 2 runes. So yeah, it's either or. It seems to be very little in between of people actually contesting it, and that might be the case here. They might make a play for it top lane, especially with an Alchemist. You're always going to be to sneak away an extra bounty rune. That is quite a large power spike, but it doesn't look like they're too interested for now, as they're going to scout Blizzy and they're just going to get out.
Oh, they're running the Lycan mid in the end, so not changing position or not changing roles for this match despite the bad lane matchups. I feel like this validates the Bat Rider pick to some degree, because in this case, because there's 2 dispels, as you mentioned, the lasso is not going to be that useful, right? So Bat Rider becomes much more of a magic damage dealer, taking advantage of his boots and just making sure you Firefly all over the place. And his laning, of course, is still really strong. And that's still happening. You didn't stop that whatsoever, right? He didn't pick a hero that could have beat Bad Iron in the mid lane. I mean, I think there were a couple options that you could run, but in the end, you're gonna struggle a bit early, and I think Lorinov should still have a decent game. I'm liking more the draft for Gambit, but I can see the Alchemist cheese happening anytime, right? So you always have to be careful with the Alch.
Yeah, that's true. You do have the Nyx Assassin for him in the jungle, though, so I'm going to be a little bit surprised, to be honest, if it works. I do a little bit. I'm going to be stronger for this Gambit draft than you seem to be anyway. I prefer it a little bit more.
I'm okay with that, but I just, you know, whenever you see an Alchemist, there's always that point in my head where you think, like, an Alchemist makes you throw away everything you've done about Dota because the game becomes bad. So if they do manage to get an early good Alchemist draft, I think Alchemist versus TB is also decent for the first 30 minutes of the game. Because like I mentioned, heroes with good attack speed can easily build into mixed damage, and that's particularly counters TB, right? So you can see the Alch this game. Seeing an old build, for example, with a Maelstrom, maybe even just to have that against the TB, and then eventually the Mjolnir, of course. And I use that as a farming item as opposed to the more popular Battle Fury that you see these days. Alternatively, Radiance is also fine this game. I think it's not as much burst damage against TB.
No, that's the thing I really wouldn't like Alchemist to see go for, though. That's the problem with the Nyx Assassin, right? Because then you just get ganked super easily in your jungle, and those kills are almost free. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Radiance is a good build this game, simply because the Nyx exists.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. That's why Maelstrom I like more, but it's still the same kind of risk with Nyx, but at least it's more controlled.
It is. It's more controlled, and you're very less likely. At least if you're going to know the Nyx is coming, and you get a chance to get off the Chemical Rage.
Yeah, and if you're not attacking stuff, it's not going to bounce to him, especially if you don't see him, so that's another point to be made. The lane doesn't seem too difficult for them against the Beastmaster. I think Al can somewhat deal with the harassment early. Level 3, we'll see if this changes. Nyx is not the best laning support, even with a mana burn build. Mid lane, though, we're... Actually, Lycan is doing fine. Top lane, Blizz is going to die thanks to Pantomim. That was a nice little purifying fire start to the end, and yeah, it's difficult to lane this until you hit level 3 when your boards can actually do something to the Alch. And Alch is very conditioned to just go for your boards directly, because you have Greeble's Greed to make them worthwhile.
That's actually a really good point. The Oracle as well with a really nice attack range.
Yeah, he's great against Beastmaster.
Terrible damage, but great range to just continue annoying him.
Nice. I completely forgot, you know, the full efficiency of taking sentries out with the Alch. Extra 15 gold.
Does work, even though sentries give +0 gold.
Yep, because every unit works, which is why I think it works on zombies too.
It does, yep. There's a lot of really good envy clips yelling at his teammates to not destroy Tombstone so he can just farm gold.
Yeah. There's just a lot of good envy clips.
That's very true.
If I ever made a Dota, I would love to make a Dota wiki one day where everything is explained, just envy shouting at his teammates. You know, one clip for every single thing.
That'd be great, actually.
And people would definitely enjoy
this
that.
Lycan is actually off to a fantastic start here,
really
quite surprisingly. I think that's mostly to do with the fact that it's still only level 2 Napalm. Maybe level 5, we're going to be beginning to see a little bit of a shift, especially here with the Arcane Aura from the Maiden. He's going to be pretty free to just continue spamming these Napalms, using Firefly quite liberally, and already we see like him somewhat off to the jungle for now here, just farming a quick little camp as he's going to be going straight for the naked Necro Book.
See, but I think Lorinov is playing this lane appropriately. If you want to really win the lane, you would go for a Flame Break build and push a Lycan out, you know, show that you can win the lane as well. But he's going for a build that is purely kill potential. The idea is that since Lycan is not building boots, low, you Firefly and Dolphin, dive the tower, and there's nothing they can do to help him, unless the Oracle TP's in time. So the whole point is Blizzy harass the Oracle enough so they can't TP immediately, and I'm just going to go get the kill, as he now secures the minute 4 rune. No support rotations.
Yeah, no supports rotating over, which is a bit surprising, but the Nyx Assassin does need to stay top here to continue applying pressure. Our TB as well is having a little bit of a difficult time, but he now does have about a third duration left of the Metamorphosis. Level 2 now, so doing a bit more damage. He's able to fight off the Rubik with the Mirror Images alone, which gives him pretty much the free reign over this lane for now.
Yeah, Legion he struggles against TB because he can't trade easily. Top lane though, they go for the Alch. Nice Fortune's End to root both of them, but the boar slows the Alch. Can they get the kill? No. Instead, Pantomim actually murders the boar, making sure that the Alch can get away with a nice little salve there. Iracho is...
Yeah, that's going to be the advantage of having the Oracle, basically, against 2 melees. He rarely could ask for a much better lane than this for an Oracle. So get crushed in lane versus most people, but when you draft 2 melees against him, he's going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, because when you trade against supports, you only can trade with when your combo's available, right? And you're great then, but any other time you're trading against them, you feel very weak, despite your superior BAT.
And if you do trade with your combo, then you don't have that for a kill potential, you don't have it for a save, so that presents other openings for better teams to then exploit that. As we have now the 5-minute wagon here, Lorinov. You're probably just going to be looking for farming. And yes, you said it earlier, this is a killing build, but it's also the farming build.
It's true, the most effective I've taken Ancients, which also, can we check if there's any Ancient stacks yet made for Lorinov? No, it doesn't seem. Because usually mid-Bat Rider, because he has so much experience early, he's much more effective at taking Ancient stacks despite the nerf. Whereas off-lane Bat Rider did get hit pretty hard with that nerf. Mid-lane doesn't, honestly, because you have so much damage from Firefly anyway. And it's more, for Bat, it's more about the magic resist being taken away from Ancients than it is about the sticky napalm dealing. Nice deny there by Pubber. Announces it. Happy with himself.
Rubik's heading mid lane to try and contest the rune. The DD will spawn top. I presume Rebel knows about it. Yep, he's just going to deny it with the wolves and run away. Defend the tower. Coming out of the jungle. Very good awareness, right? A lot of people might just AFK jungle with the Lycan, but he knows he needs to push out this wave lest he lose a lot of map pressure, or a lot of control anyway.
And he's got really good last hits, honestly, against the Bat Rider. He's not giving him any chance to take advantage of his build. Here's the equivalent of when you... Wait, sorry, the... Rubik could be in trouble. Metamorphosis has been popped. Cheshire Cat just fighting against Pubber. Cheshire Cat really committing for the skill. Nice overwhelming odds to get the extra speed on the creeps. Fortunately, they don't have the damage to really bring down Pubber. I think TB with meta is too scary for Legion. In fact, Cheshire Cat needs to get away. Yeah. That's just free hits that you're giving Zani.
Yeah, especially maybe with a regen on the way, that would explain it. But yeah, that's a very bold move to be making with no regen left here. Just taking 2 free CS out from a TB. He'll do that all day. Doesn't miss any CS and potentially now a first kill as the Bat Rider running on over. Easy kill with the lasso there into the waiting arms of his friendly little demon.
Well played.
Zani, right?
Zani, yes. Thanks to Gift, by the way, for the pronunciation. We're trying to do our best. We never know. When you get a Cyrillic name, you never know. Is this written in actual Roman letters or is it Cyrillic? Should I pronounce it that way? You never know.
You never know. Rubik, or sorry, make that our Oracle, most likely dead. Does have the Fairy Fire to bait him out a little bit more, but Blizzy quite tanky here already. Had the ulti now. Yeah, the boar does make a big difference. Yeah, and they have booted both the Legion and the Rubik out of the lane here, so that's going to allow TB to very, very comfortably transition into the jungle. He's more or less pretty happy with how this went. 45 and 12 is not amazing, but into the jungle already, he's going to be happy to do that.
But the concern is, though, that you're giving a Lycan and an Alchemist a fair amount of space, and Bat Rider did a good rotation, but unfortunately it was bottom, so you can't turn that rotation into a tower. Well, you could, but it's the useless tower. In CIS, they do it more often than not, taking the offlane tier 1, but still not as much. And that's why I think Bat should probably go top, taking advantage that Blizzy already has a fair amount of farm. The Alk will be going for Battle Fury, so no weird builds, just traditional builds. I think this is the middle ground, right? Between the Maelstrom Radiance we're talking about, right? Not so greedy and bad as Radiance, but still not effective for anything but farming.
Making sure to kill the Hawk before he goes. I hate nature. Unfortunately, he gets the Hawk but misses the ward here quite crucially, so he probably thinks it's going to be quite safe, especially with this fresh Sentry ward placed down, but does he know that might come back and bite them in the butt here. 7-minute duration left on that, so make sure to check the jungle in a little bit for a potential Nyx Assassin gank. You can see he's still hanging out here. He's going to lose it.
Look, TB is doing a typical walk now toward triangle. Most TBs do this. If you actually watch RDO, very good TB will always do this, where you actually leave the support to have experience and defend the lane, and in exchange, you just go to the triangle and farm safely. Cheshire Cat knows this as well and wants to punish this by trying to duel the CM. Not going to happen just yet. Instead, they rotated Rabel, and they should be able to get this tower relatively easily.
Yep, I think this is the level 2 Necronomicon, right? Yeah, okay.
Level 2. You can tell by the size of the Necros.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure, though. I'm sitting further from the monitor today.
I am a Lycan spammer, so that's why as well.
They're going to go tower for tower here. Donnie does have himself the meta to use. Obviously, he doesn't want to use it yet in case they try and defend.
Oh, interesting. He maxed meta. That's interesting. Usually you don't see this on TV, by the way. Usually the popular build on TV, if you watch like very common TV players like RTO, Costabile, or Sammy Boy, for example, the All-Americans, they like to take 2 points of meta, max Conjure Image first, even 1 point of Reflection for fights, and then they max meta. So it's interesting that he maxes meta first. Not the most common build in competitive, at least. Impale, nice, saving Pubber's life.
Yeah, they don't want to feed Cheshire Cat here any dual damage.
You see, though, what I was talking about in the draft, where Lycan is just sending his units, and he doesn't actually have to commit himself. So Lycan is very safe. He stays behind, keeps farming, but his units might have still killed Pubber. So they force rotation just with units, which, as far as they're concerned, is a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, he was there as well. He was just too slow to keep up. He was macroing, I suppose, himself on over as well, trying to body block. But, of course, he's got no chance to body block a Maiden. I mean, she is swift as the wolves of Ice Rack. After all,
you try to body block a mate and you're like, wait, am I just faster than her? And it's so difficult because she's just walking forward. She has too little movement speed. Necros to counter Necros, I mean, they're similar timings, honestly. Not bad for Blizzy.
Oh, this is Necro 1 compared to the Necro 2. He's going to be going for a different item as they actually will get a kill there onto the Necro 2 carrier. Got a little bit too aggressive. Looks like they catch him with the Vendetta into a simple stun, and then off he goes.
Vendetta will take away your Feral Impulse, which is a bit of your healing, right? Not bad. And in the top lane, we see Cheshire Cat.
Oh,
there's a good opportunity. They also use the Fortune's End, and that should root the TB. Is that enough for them to catch up to him? Those ghosts, no, actually the slowing ghost didn't come in time, which means they can catch up to Zani, who's now in trouble. Duo on top, Alchemist even joins in, and that's going to be a kill for Pantomim.
He had a TP there. Just
use it.
I guess not.
Because he saw the Rubik coming by as well. Does Alchemist point in his stun?
He doesn't.
Oh, he
does. Now he does.
He just got it for this
He did
kill.
not before the kill. Now I checked.
Okay.
That's what I was curious. Maybe he was.
He might not know it though. It's kind of hard to guess what level Acid Spray is at, right? Like, what, you're gonna take the ticks for damage and calculate it based on your armor. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
So I can see why he might have thought, oh, they can just kill me unless I hide. He also made a misclick there up top.
It's not a big loss. He's got his Falcon Blade up and running next to go in for the SNY. So there's lots of stats here for RTB.
We have seen the Falcon Blade used a bit by heroes that need HP and mana, right? Because that's the main two attributes. Like, damage is nice, but it's most about the HP and mana, otherwise you would... And they're just a substitute for drums. That's a bit cheaper. I think it's pretty good for...
Necro 3 finished up here just shy of the 12-minute mark. Our Drachio Alchemist, of course, doing Alchemist things. His net worth beginning to explode already.
Not too crazy, though. He's only 2k above the Bat Rider. This is showing that at least in the lane they can control him. Shapeshift though, with a duel, they go for the Bat Rider. Hard kill, but they should be able to get it regardless. The freezing field does slow them down a bit, but Pubber is gonna eventually die at this rate. They just use the units, and he kills the Necronomicon unit, which guarantees Rabel the kill.
Last will, man. 500 damage on that, so it's doing...
On a CM, that's huge.
It's doing 400. The break, yep, good luck.
There's the Impale. Dude, as a Nyx, there's no way you're getting the Vendetta Impale combo on an Icon.
You simply have to open up with the Impale, and then you're losing so much of the Vendetta damage, which is pure, right? So it really sucks to miss out on all that damage, but there's really no other way there. In fact, I think it's a little bit greedy. I think it's personally safe to say that if you set up that Sun with Vendetta, you got Blizzard to follow up with the Roar, but you do have False Promise available. That's always the catch. So yeah, it's a bit hard. You don't want to just open up with a Roar or just have them immediately get purged off.
That's why I was surprised with the Beastmaster pick. Like, if you look at your lineup, like, okay, this is a good Beastmaster pick, right? And it's good against Alk and Lycan, but that's only if you don't have an LC and an Oracle to help you. They have so much save, and this save is particularly weak against area damage, right? Because if you stun a bunch of people, you can't save them all. But if you stun a single person with Primal Roar, False Promise, he's fine.
Yeah, he is totally fine even. The only issue is if they want to double commit there. I mean, really, realistically, you have to double commit either onto the Legion or onto the Oracle with both the Roar as well as the Lasso. That's the only way you connect on one of them and make it impactful, right?
I honestly was expecting the lanes to go much better.
So was I.
To make the Beastmaster and the Bat Rider's other assets more palpable, right? More important. Like the Beastmaster's huge burst damage with the Zoo, the Bat Rider's huge burst or magical damage in general. I think those assets can still be used this game, but they didn't really get them, which makes me now side quite heavily with Winstrike's draft. They're doing much better.
The smoke's going to fail as well via Winstrike. They head top initially. They then are going to rotate bot lane as there was a counter smoke by Gambit, so they just kind of dodge each other out. Drachio was trying to farm as much as he could and still is.
Okay, interesting build. So you go for Battle Fury, Emili, Sanjin Yasha, which is normal, right? Mid-game kind of battle Alk. And then you go right into the BKB. So that means that you want to fight as soon as possible, because when you get that BKB early, the idea is the 10-second BKB is one of the biggest points of inflection that you can get in Dota. You're pretty much free for a whole team fight, especially with an Oracle covering you from Primal Roar, which is realistically, or the Lasso, which is the only thing they can do against.
Does press the attack not pierce BKB?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. Interesting. I didn't know that.
So
yes, the Oracle.
You made me doubt it there for a second.
Well, I wasn't sure either because you said that and I was like, yeah, that sounds like an interaction in Dota. For a while, Tether didn't pierce BKB.
though. But press the attack makes sense, right? It's a way to balance it. You can't have a Dispel that pierces BKB via also give you healing and attack speed. It's what, the second ability for a Legion? Yeah. I think it's a nice balance, right? That's why in pubs many times your carry will activate BKB and be like, why don't you press attack me?
Yeah, I can't do it. They're gonna go for a fight though. The shapeshift used. I'm missing him. Where's our Lycan?
They're going for pubber. Oh my goodness. So remember that when Lycan activates shapeshift, in case you guys don't know this, he does get a crit on top of that on him and his units, which is what happened there. He just got critted twice by both himself and his units. It's pretty ridiculous. The thing is, CM against Lycan is not that bad, much to everyone's surprise, because she can frostbite one of your units, which is nice, and Freezing Field also saves you from a good chunk of Lycan's damage thanks to the opponent armor. The problem, of course, is that you can't use Freezing Field every single fight, and you're still fodder if you can't use it. You don't have a team.
Yep. Yeah, I would say she's generally quite good at him, except for when the Lycan actually has got his ulti active. Then it becomes a little bit more tricky for the Maiden to really just about get anything done.
Lornoff, he's still being chased around. Look, there's a perch. This is the power of the new Feral Impulse. Look how little commitment the Lycan's putting to pushing Lornoff out of lane. It's just so good. I can't believe Ice Frog gave him this buff. It's such a good buff. It's ridiculous how versatile Lycan is. And this is the kind of buff, by the way, that I like, because this makes Lycan more versatile as a hero, gives you more options. So bad players can't play him, right? Bad players will still suck with Lycan, but a good player will know how to utilize all of his assets to take advantage of him, as we're seeing here. That's why he's back in competitive, but your pubs are not seeing Lycan.
Listen, Huai finish up for a TB, as he's going to be going for even more stats up next with a Butterfly. That'll give him a little bit of evasion. I don't know if it's going to save him from a duel, however. Only 10 duel damage early on for Cheshire Cat. They've not really been looking to fight too much. It's a bit of a quote-unquote greedy draft naturally, because you have two heroes that want to be jungling.
Yeah, it's for the mid-game greedy draft.
For the majority of the first 25 minutes of the game. After that, your Alpha is going to be ready to go. Your Lycan is going to be a little bit more willing to be engaging and starting fights as well. We can already see, basically, he just wants to kill a Maiden and back up is the move. But they're going to go for, it looks like a tower here in the mid lane as the Metamorphosis is activated. They'll let Winstrike know they have to make a decision. Are they going to defend it, or are they going to let this one drop?
I don't have shapeshift, so I don't know if this is a smart defense. Maybe they just glyph, wait out the time, maybe use the Oracle to be nearby. The Hawk is too dangerous as well, because the Hawk gives vision of whatever initiation you want to do. Yeah, they're going to let it drop. I think this is the wisest choice. I mean, your supports can be here, and maybe even your offlaner to put a bit of pressure, make sure they just can't get a free tier 2, but there's no point in rotating your cores. It's much better to just get your main 2 cores. Much better to let the Alchemist farm for the next fight.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he should have BKB almost done.
And in fact, they can kind of, BKB's on the way. They could even go for a little bit of a counter push here. As soon as that Metamorphosis ends, they could look to become a little bit more aggressive themselves, because now they do have this shapeshift ready. They do have this 10-second BKB on the Alchemist, which granted to the Alch right now with the BKB, SNY, and Battle Fury, he's not the scariest, but you don't really need him to be. I think you just need him to be out in front and maybe talking to the aggro here for the Lycan, who's going to be a bit vulnerable without his BKB. He's obviously gone for drums, and they're going to be going for the Roshan play now.
Drums build is really good on Lycan, because it makes you super powerful, and honestly, the item is so cheap. It's been buffed to hell with the 8 charges. The Roshan should fall relatively quickly. They have a better Roshan lineup, but they are dire, so less space control for the most part, which means that Gambit could have theoretically, but they should know about this, but they just can't contest it.
Get better.
Yeah, the Gambit, they did know about it, but again, without the Metamorphosis up, like you said, they were really unfortunately able to do much about it here. DD rune on the Bat Rider's not going to be the scariest thing, so Winstrike are going to continue on pushing and just doing their thing here. Nice advantage there, now in favor for these guys. And they're going to have to back off. Not a whole lot of vision as their top tower is being sieged by creeps. They're going to be able to finish this bottom tier 1 off with the mirror image illusions alone, as there is going to be a smoke play heading to try and cut them off here from the river.
Who are they going to catch? I mean, Cheshire Cat, I think, has a blink dagger, so it's going to be the blink reveal. They're not really sure. They don't know about this. They should guess, though, because it's about the timing when Legion should have to come back. Oh, that's perfect. He has a double damage because of this spelled, and Bat is going to get destroyed. Torn to shreds by Winstrike. That is the ideal kill, honestly. Taking out the enemy mid laner, also their best source of initiation, and honestly, a big source of their damage early. They wasted the shapeshift there, but I think it's worthwhile just for that kill.
Oh, I completely agree. This is going to open up the map a little bit more now. I mean, it's a Bat Rider dead for what must have been around 45 seconds here. We've got the offlane at least push it in for the Beastmaster, but he's had not really nearly the effect they're looking for this game. They are just about equal in towers, but I would be surprised if Winstrike don't make a serious effort for this tier 2 top lane.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know if Winstrike wants to commit too much to this, especially after the cliff, because you don't have the shapeshift to fight, and Bat Rider's already back with Lasso. You want to play a bit more defensively. Yeah, well, unless the tower gets destroyed like that, oh my goodness. With a Lycan Alchemist, maybe I underestimate how much damage this Alchemist is doing, but that assault, that Hyperstone alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pure physical damage here coming out. Not pure damage, just physical damage rather from the side. Right,
raw damage.
It's a Lycan, an Alchemist, right? So that's going to be extremely effective against the towers. Obviously, he's not going to be throwing unstable concoction at towers, but all his abilities buff his attack speed and whatnot here. Is they're going to be looking up to really come to the push here. It's an interesting TP.
Just a farm in TP, honestly, to make sure to deep-push the lanes, to put some pressure on TP, to also make sure that I mean, Gambit was gonna easily gank you there, so you make them waste a bunch of time and resources. You know TP is not gonna do that. Oh, actually, Oracle is making them waste time and resources. Is he actually gonna get away with that TP? No, they have a Yo Scepter. Alright, very cheeky TP there by the Oracle. Still heals a fair amount, though. And wasting a bunch of time for your Bat Rider. Gonna dispel himself again. Pantomime just slowly walking home. They force a second Firefly. This man's very happy with this. In fact, they almost got close enough to gank them again. Shishaka is thinking about it with his Invis rune.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult with only the Rubik there, though. You never really know, especially with the Nyx Assassin already showing a nearby with the Yule Scepter to counter-initiate. Invis rune, they might try for Excess Vampire now. They're just going to blink onto the river. Fate Bolt level 1. That's going to be... Wow, actually, I'm surprised that the Mana Burn alone was really enough of a nuke damage, but it was. Yamich will secure the kill, and that's going to be another 30... Sorry, make that 20 damage for our LC.
The Rubik was like, Nyx out of the field now. And this LC is more honestly playing like an initiator and like a tanky core than she is as like the pseudo carry that sometimes Legions play as, because dual damage I don't think is that important this game. But it's still nice to get a bit of extra damage here. The duels are being successful. It's a low cooldown spell anyway.
Yeah, I definitely thought that the LC was going to get the ball rolling a little bit earlier, but honestly, Gambit never forced the issue themselves either, which is surprising because they did have heroes that could bring a fight early game that are not weak by any means. Beastmaster, Bat Rider, Nyx Assassin all come to mind. The Maiden has to be very wary of her positioning because she's basically free food for, well, just about anyone on the side of Winstrike. But yeah, there goes another tier 2 tower now in the bottom lane. There's still no Fortify at the ready. And we still have about 50 seconds left on this Aegis.
Let's see, Dilaccio with that Mineral doesn't seem bothered whatsoever. I mean, thanks to the Aegis, he's quite safe. He doesn't depend as much on Chemical Rage and say a TP, for example, depends on Metamorphosis. You can still run away with BKB. Whereas if TP loses the meta, you're like, okay, fight's over, right? Yeah,
and of course you have the LC who is in a very convenient position. She is going to be the first line of defense. Oracle standing much further away because...
As the second line.
As
Double
the second line.
Yep. Very cold Oracle. He's taking the road trip with us. He got his hats.
We got our fluffy hats on as well.
Oh, we do.
And this Alchemist, though, he's got to be a little bit careful. His Aegis is just about to expire here within a couple of seconds, 10 seconds to be exactly. But Winstrike very aware of this. They're now backing up, and they're just going to be looking to farm the enemy jungle on the way out.
Let's see, they're gonna keep on pushing here, Gambit. Or, sorry, those are the smoke.
Oh, good smoke.
To catch it from behind, yeah.
Or good scan, sorry.
Oh, the scan, yeah, catches the smoke completely. Now Winstrike's able to fight this. Necronomicon, Excess Vampire nearby, goes for the Oracle. There's the Metamorphosis activated, but the duel catches the Bat Rider. That's perfect! Lorinov is down for the count. Now going for the Nyx Assassin. The bug has been squashed. And the only hero they really need to kill now is Zani, who does get a Thunder off onto the Oracle. Oracle is accepting his death as Alchemist is slowly but steadily trying to murder Zani. The counter Thunder by Yamich is not going to keep him alive. They cancel his TP, and Zani was almost capable of destroying all of Winstrike, but was incapable of beating neither of their two main cores, which is the Alchemist and the Lycan. And that's exactly what Rainbow should be doing, by the way, in the team fights, chasing away the supports, murdering the backline, making sure that Alchemist can have a 1v1 scenario against this Terraform.
Yeah, they tried their best. Unfortunately, the Beastmaster, I didn't quite catch where he was in the fight. He looked like he was trying to initiate with something, with a roar perhaps. Instead, the Nyx Assassin was the one to kick off that fight, trying to lock down the Oracle. wasn't effective in the slightest bit at the end of the day, and now a 15k net worth lead for Winstrike. This is going to be at least 2 lanes of barracks. Without Metamorphosis, you're not going to be too scared. We still have Press the Attack at the ready for the Dispel. They're threatening for it now. Lornoff nearby. They have no False Promise, so they are going to be a little bit weak now. There's going to be the duel. The BKB will come out first. It's countered by Dracchio as well. He's falling quite low, but the healing is too much. He is still alive as they needed to lock down that Oracle and are unable to do so.
That is insane. He has no right to live here. Look at this. He walks in without the Chemical Rage even activated, and he's still not going to get killed. He knows the Legion and the Oracle are covering him, but they do catch him in the end. False Promise is ready there. And that's going to save the Alk yet again. You got borrowed time, huh?
That's the other ultimate. Gabba.
I'm gonna stab you.
Well.
It's an expression in English too, right?
No.
Is it really not?
No.
Living on borrowed time?
No, usually we say dead man walking.
It's not. Anyway, Hulk's gonna push the melee racks and the range racks, walk away as Yamich is also gonna be safe. They tried an initiation on him, didn't really work out. Another good team fight.
Yeah,
and
this Hulk's got damage now.
I told you, dude. You never discount an Hulk ever in a pro game. He cheeses you. And honestly, all they needed to do was win the lanes for Gambit, but their unsuccessful lanes led them to this situation there now.
He is pushing incredibly effectively as well, as they have all the tier 2s down already. Roshan, he might be respawning as soon as in 20 seconds, could be a further 3 minutes after that. There's a DD rune here conveniently placed for Winstrike, as they're going to smoke up and perhaps look for the killing blow now on a Gambit. Gambit themselves, they're going to sully out here into the bottom lane just to shove this one out a little bit more. They still now do have the Metamorphosis ready and available for our TB. Butterfly, but going to be going for Scotty next. Unfortunately, he's way too far away from that one to be currently relevant. That's going to be a long Roche as well, so 2 minutes.
Good solution for the Alk, Legion, Oracle, plethora of healing.
All of the healing, yep.
Might have been a consideration before the Butterfly, honestly. But he decided to go for Butterfly. I think Butterfly is a bit redundant on TB many times, because what do you help against? Physical damage. What do you already have a lot of? Armor. So do you really need that extra? I mean, again, the post on Reddit talked about it, and I kind of agreed with them, because in this case, the Alk could just build MKB and get both mixed damage against your armor and a way to deal with your evasion.
Yeah.
That's a freebie.
Yeah, that is a freebie. Not only the damage build, but also basically that top lane of ranged barracks are now gone. They're going to go back and check Roshan, but be sorely disappointed when he needs a full another minute here to be ready to offer some cheese to the side of what's looking like Winstrike here at this point. 19k up. This Alchemist has basically had all but a free game. 2-0 and 5 here on Dracchio. He is having a very, very fun time indeed. Our Lycan not doing too much worse though. 7-1 and 1 as he's. I mean, the thing is I don't want to, like, who carried the early game, quote unquote? It just felt like Gambit never really felt the pressure.
I just think the choice of going for 2 single target stuns versus saves, honestly, that idea limited your early game potential so much. The big point was that you were trying to take advantage of the Bad Rider early, and I didn't really see the impact, particularly because he lost the lane, and I don't know, or at least tied the lane, which in this sense is losing, really. And I don't know if that's Lornoff's fault for playing too defensively, or if that's because the Lycan just played a great game.
I think that's just kind of the result of the draft, right? I think if you pick something like a DP or a Pugna versus a Lycan mid, regardless of how the laning matchup actually goes, when the Lycan does want to go in jungle, he's going to lose his tower instantly, whereas the Bat Rider simply doesn't bring the same amount of pressure.
I agree.
So they just never had anything to really force the issue, force anyone mid. How many games have we seen when there's just a Tide Hunter or a Bat Rider, sorry, not a Bat Rider, a Tide Hunter or a Timbersaw sitting in the mid lane,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Who does that this game? Yeah. And no one even had to this game for Winstrike. There's just very little tower pressure.
Yeah, that's true. And this reminds me actually of the game we casted yesterday for IPG, where we had an Invoker. We're like, oh, this Invoker's gonna pop off. He's Quas-Wex, and the Quas-Wex Invoker didn't move from his lane or do anything for the first 15 minutes. And you go, well, what's the point of picking a Quas-Wex Invoker then, right? I think it defeats the purpose of the hero. And in this case, it's not fair to blame Lornoff particularly. It's just something that happened this game that they need to look at in the replay. Lornoff.
Yeah, the Courier scouted them actually from the Oracle, so they're set up opposite here. Dire on the Radiant side, Radiant on the Dire. We'll see whose advantage this will be, as Lornoff is going to use the Firefly preemptively.
Look how, I actually really appreciate how patient Winstrike, despite them winning by so much, they still don't want to give the enemy team any chance.
Yeah, I mean, and they know creep are filtering in. They're pushing through bottom, so they're going to threaten tier 4s. The tier 3 top lane also is going down. As there's going to be the jump. They found the Beastmaster. A nice stun, though. That means the Alchemist is going to be forced to stun himself, but they have 2 dispels. They've stacked them here, unfortunately, so they might be able to punish that. But for now, Excess Vampire is going to be the first to go. Zani now laying into the damage here onto the Oracle as they will buy back now onto our support.
Okay. I think the Power Roar now set up, though. Slow Power Roar, though, on TV. Doesn't really matter, though, because he lost the Chemical Rage. He might stun himself again. He's going in for the second fight. Lycan's still alive, and now with a duel, they catch Zani and are capable of murdering him. As Diracho does the same thing against Blizzy. That's the GG. I think the GG came out because that was not a great team fight, but Winstrike, not the best execution, and they still win, showcasing how far ahead they simply were.
Oh yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't really close after the laning stage here between the two teams. The Alchemist came out; he was so farmed. Lycan was able to play.
Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team pick. Radiant. Ten seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Keeper of the light.
Earth Spirit.
Ten seconds remaining.
That's so fucking good.
5 seconds remaining.
Let's go straight into the draft, honestly.
Yep.
Just because I'm a bit. Hello guys, and welcome back here. Eastern European Lower Division League. As we're watching Winstrike team versus Sports 8 match number 2.
Yep, indeed, we are. Match number 1, a win for Winstrike, who strike hard there with the Alchemist. Take a pretty easy and confident game number 1. Never at any stage did it look too bad for them. And I think Gambit now that they're going to have a little bit more of a fire underneath them to actually, pardon me, actually bring the pressure here to Winstrike. And already with the Earth Spirit, I think that's a much better start than the Knicks.
Quite an early morph pick though.
It is actually, but it is the last phase, rather, in the first phase, which of course then you get the 3 bans immediately follow it. So
That's very
what do you think, an AA ban here? No, not with a Coddle, right?
Oh, you might, because Coddle can still be run 4. I mean, it's not the greatest combo, but I think you might, just to play it safe. I like the Phantom Lancer ban though. I think Phantom Lancer's pretty solid. What other heroes are great morphling?
10 seconds.
Drow, probably. You might consider the Drow as another ban.
Lots of base armor there.
I'll be between A. I think ET may be better than AA, honestly, as a ban, and then I would go for Drow.
Actually, I think you're fine with the Drow. I think Earth Spirit kind of crushes Drow,
Yes, but
especially with Drow, or sorry, with Earth Spirit Morphling. I mean, it's gonna be Gambit doing most of the team fight starts. I can't imagine a scenario where the Drow Ranger is ever too much of in a safe place because of the Earth Morphling combo that they have.
that is true. My concern with Drow is that the new item, the new shard, Hypothermia, which has not been really abused, is particularly fantastic in the matchup against Morph.
Can you remind me what it does?
So Hypothermia, it gives you, every frost arrow gives you a stack. Keep picking. Every frost arrow gives you a stack of Hypothermia, and each stack will reduce their regen and lifesteal. And you get, I think it's, I don't know how many stacks it is, 5 I think, and it explodes and deals damage. But the big stuff is about the reducing the healing damage.
Yeah, it's like Demeter's slow in Hades.
It is actually very similar, and maybe they got the influence from there. Who
It probably
knows?
did, honestly.
Iceborg is known for looking at other games for inspiration, but I think that's a particularly nice pick against Morph. Now with the Mars though, I would say I would go against it though, because Mars is very good against Drow.
Wow, it's a very fast draft out from Gambit.
Gambit,
here.
like they had it scripted beforehand.
They did. Perhaps they're falling back to one of their strats here. I mean, who knows, right? I feel like I've seen them go with the Earthshaker Morphling before, not necessarily
Earth
first
Spirit
pick.
Morphling.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, right?
10 seconds
Sorry about that. Earth Spirit Morphling.
I'm used to that combo too. That's kind of broken, but I
It
think
is another
this
one,
a new
yeah.
one.
You guys, we live in C, so we're just used to that one from the team days.
But in Europe, Thompson's been running that Morphling Earth Spirit for a while. A lot of success with it. I think it's a pretty solid draft. Grimstroke with Morphling is well. Double Adaptive Strike, double E-Blade, always solid. I like the answer by Winstrike though. Shaman is probably one of the better picks against Morphling. Instant stun on Hex and the long stun from Shack.
Yeah, we got a couple things to interrupt it though. Of course, Earth Spirit does well to lock down and locate a Shaman. To a lesser extent, Void Spirits, but we've seen Ladan, who his team name escapes me right now, but we've seen Ladan, pardon me, pop off on Void Spirits and predict where the Dissemolate's going to come out, you know, predict Astral Steps even, and preempt them. Boulder, even a Silence. So there's some counterplay there. But the same can be said here of the Shaman. He's a very static hero. Even after you get the Blink Dagger, you know where he's going to be coming from. The Shackles and their Shock both clearly tell you where it's being cast from.
Yeah, so Earth Spirit can always guess that. So you need some sort of
And even the Grimstroke is not too bad because you just send the Phantom to hug him, and Shaman, although he deals a crap ton of damage, you just need to hit the Ghost twice, and then thrice.
Second Alchemist game. So you need some sort of protection for the Shaman. Usually in this game, you don't really have any because you don't have a sturdy 3 just yet, and your other 5 is very weak.
Exactly, yeah.
Alchemist, interesting pick. I mean, I see the idea of an Alchemist out-tempoing a Morph, which is usually how you try to play this matchup, but Morph is not the slowest carry. Unlike a TB or Spectre, Morph can actually play relatively quickly with like a 15 to 18 minute core timing, which is the same timing as a TA. And you would never say that Alchemist can out-tempo a TA, right? So similar with Morphling. And Morphling's build naturally counters Alchemist because you love building Scotty, which is the hardest counter to Alchemist and a carry. I don't love the Alch too much this game. I think they actually have really good tools to deal with them.
Yeah, and even more than that, the Aghanim Scepter build with the Earth Spirit is deceptively kind of an early timing as well. Morphling, I think, his level 25 talent of getting 2 charges of Waveform, in my opinion, is pretty busted, because not only can he do that to engage from further, but more frequently you kind of use it like the Windrunner Ags, where you use 1 to engage and then 1 to run away,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
With the Earth, but the problem is that comes at 25, that's why it's balanced. With Balanced Spirit, I mean, with Earth Spirit himself here, once you do get that Ags, that is no longer an issue for you, right? Yeah. You're incredibly mobile with the Rolling Boulder. You don't ever have to worry about remnants because Morphling and Earth Spirit, they don't share. There's no sort of, the only 7 can exist on the map at the same time. No. There's nothing like that. You can drop all 7 down if you want on the Morphling. He has his own cooldowns, so to speak. Yes. So I think that can also be played deceptively early, which can be punishing to a Void Spirit who's not going to be used to chasing down a Morphling that's that agile.
Every time he casts Morph, not when he turns around, like not when he turns into Earth Spirit, but when he casts it, the initial time you get full remnants every single time.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
You get full remnants when you cast it. So when you're turning into Earth Spirit and Morphling, when you're swapping around, you keep the number of remnants you had earlier. But when you cast it on him, you don't get the number of remnants he had, which means that you essentially get 7 remnants there.
Yeah. Even better.
Yeah, it's
even better. I have similar concerns with the Alchemist here. I do think Gambit, they are going to need to pick something that has a little bit of tempo. Maybe even a mid-Mars I actually wouldn't mind versus the Alchemist, to be honest.
Me neither. I like the mid-Mars, especially against Void Spirit.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I don't completely mind the mid-Mars here. Gambit, of course, they have yet to even put a single second in their reserve time, so they got plenty of time to think about it. And last pick, as they'll be up versus the Storm. They have a pick in mind.
Gambit, oh my goodness.
Okay.
What is this?
Yeah, that was fast.
Is that an offlane DK? It's offlane Mars. No, mid Morphling. All right, okay. So yeah, Lornoff is the player for Gambit. That's why the Winstrike, by the way, was guessing that Morphling was going to go mid. Lornoff is the Morphling player for Portside. That's usually who I see it on. However, I have seen them swap positions before, where Lornoff will play Morphling in the carry lane and the DK, and they'll pick something else for Xani and go mid. They're not alien to that, so I'm surprised that Winstrike was so convinced that Morphling was going to go mid and you picked the secondary carry. That's because Gambit tends to do it. I think Winstrike in this case shouldn't have thought of what does Gambit tend to do, but rather they should have thought of what is more beneficial to us in this draft. And in this case, is it beneficial to you for Gambit to pick a second carry? Yeah, actually. You would have loved that. They were super slow then. But if they pick now a DK, you kind of blundered here because Alchemist and Storm Spirit both relatively slow. Cheshirecat, the Void Spirit offlane, very popular in the CIS region, but gonna struggle in this game to create the space that he wants to do.
Yeah, and I think quite crucially, we're going to see the difference between having someone that can pressure the mid lane, like a Dragon Knight, and someone who cannot, like a Bat Rider, right? That was one of the criticisms I had, or one of the points a weakness of the draft that I saw in Gambits, which that they Lycan had no problem just kind of farming the jungle because he knew the Bat Rider was going to do his thing, and he knew that the Bat Rider can't really take his jungle. He can push the waves, but then Lycan doesn't mind farming underneath his tower. He can do that super easy. He's got a great base attack damage. It's going to be a little bit different this time around as we're underway with game number 2.
Gambit. Like, how do they draft this quickly? Did they have this exact draft in mind?
They must have, yeah. They didn't even take a single second. They probably even locked in that last pick as soon as out.
That's insane, dude.
How's your Cyrillic?
Not that good. I mean, I can read that, but I don't know what it means, though. Zedol Lial? Zadol Lial?
I just gotta believe you. I just gotta believe you.
I don't know what that means, though. I can pronounce it for you.
I apologize to everyone's mothers that Alvaro has just insulted.
Maybe, I don't know. I apologize as well for insulting Russian. It's been a while since, or people that speak Russian. It's been a while since I've studied it, so my Cyrillic is a bit rusty. But yeah, that's like the episode of The Office where they ask Creed, like, can you read this thing in Chinese? Creed, of course. And he just reads it in Chinese, and they just act to him. Yeah. Fans of The Office,
30 seconds.
rise up.
30.
What's that?
A very famous British TV show, actually. Particularly, that's the one that everyone knows about, right?
That's very true. Very true.
Creed from the Ricky Gervais version. Anyway, we have a double bracer build for Alec. I don't know, sure. I think Winstrike is a bit greedy, honestly, with the Storm pick. I don't know if they can really set the tempo. They might be underestimating how quick a Morph can play, and I think they're underestimating to a large degree Lorinov. Oh, he is actually going to be playing the Morphling mid, though, regardless.
Yep.
Battle begins.
Yep. No, I thought you covered that.
I mean, what I said is they sometimes swap positions. So sometimes run the DK or like Zani in the mid lane and Morphling in the carry lane. That's the idea. But I think the Morphling mid here works fine, so why not? And I like the DK carry.
Yeah, my only concern is that I don't know if it's going to be able to bring the same amount of pressure as the mid would, right? Because level 6, it's like, hey, if you're not defending your tower, I'm going to...
Actually, I think he does bring the same amount of pressure, if not more. Compared to other carries, my experience with DK carry has been mainly watching Chalice from LGD.
Yeah.
When he swapped to carry at the beginning, he played a lot of DK because that was played in the offlane as well. And that was my experience with DK carry, and I saw it being really successful because compared to the majority of carries, your laning stage is fantastic, and you are just really solid as Space Creator. It's much better played with some sort of win condition mid, which the Morphing, of course, will fulfill. So DK has a much more versatility to...
So what's the move then? Does the safe lane DK gank the safe mid lane rather when he's level 6 and they kind of just do a little swapperoo there?
No, the idea is that you gank... No, not on level 6. You gank when you get usually the first item. So some DKs like Drum, some DKs just like the straight Blink Daggers, and then you gank mid. You try to get a kill there and take the tower. So instead, what you're trying to pressure is actually the offlane tower as early as possible, which Winstrike won't want to defend. You get free gold off that, get a Blink Dagger relatively early, gank mid, take the tower there, and leave the safe link to your tower for last. Or alternatively, something Chalice also used to do is, as soon as possible, like minute 6 or so, once you hit the dragon form, you go down bottom, and when you want to form a triangle, take the tower first, and then just stay there forever, while your offlaner goes around and kills people. It's pretty effective. I think he has a lot of versatility. I like the DK carry. I don't think it's a bad pick.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out here as...
Oh, Nexus Vampire messed up a...
Yeah, he let him get under the tower, and he actually is going to find at least one of the CS there. That's a little bit surprising, considering how much damage that tier 3 does to unupgraded creep. Chunks on. Alchemist is doing A-okay here as well, 6-0 compared to the 4-3 of Mars. So a couple denies here for Blizzy. He's going to go a long way towards slowing down the Alchemist early game. But he's not going to really be able to kill him unless he's super out of position. Good news is that the Coddle doesn't really bring a whole lot of save to this lane, and the Earth Spirit doesn't really care for him.
Yeah, now we're seeing the damage they can put out to the Alp. He actually did go for an early level of stun, which guarantees the kill on Blizzy. Well, actually, not necessary, because the Illuminate would have just killed him anyway. Wow, they were not expecting that. I was kind of not expecting that either, to be honest.
Me neither.
They might even kill Nexus Vampire. Oh, wow. That's the first time I actually see Solar Bind being useful in lane. Look at this Coddle. Solar Bind level 2. Yeah, and now he
doesn't have mana. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing he's realizing is, well, I got 2 kills, but was it worth it?
You go, Katul, give me mana. He goes, I have Solar Bind.
I cannot.
Cannot, sir. That's an SCA reference.
SCA special here. Dracula is going to take a little bit of harass. We've already used the initial spear. We're having another one in a second, but no trees to pin him to. Shop there, cutting down those trees, and then a little bit later. Mid lane, the Storm has been ganked, but it looks like it wasn't a success as the Rolling Boulder likely misses. He's able to step on his bottle, go ahead and take a nice old healing pot, and he's full.
It's just not very useful to gank this mid lane right now.
Structures are
Storm makes a mistake. I can't imagine the Morphling getting a kill. I mean, now he's making the mistake of trading against Morphling. But generally, Morphling doesn't have the kill potential, even with an Earth Spirit. And Storm is pretty good at blocking the Earth Spirit, yeah, because you Remnant, and he's like, well, I can't really dive against Remnants.
Yep. That's going to be the value of a ward here, ladies and gentlemen, where this time, this ward providing you just enough vision to know whenever that Earth Spirit's going to roll right onto it. Now, who cares? You're happy that it saved your life, if not once, but at least twice then. Lots of supports rotating over here for the minute 4 rune, however, on the side of Gambit. Looks like they've just about guaranteed Shaman in the river, looking to make a play. Looks like Hovers. Whoa. Storm able to bottle up the regen rune. A little bit of damage done, but doesn't really bother really anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, 2 kills in favor of Winstrike. Not very much. I think it's just it's not that many, honestly. It's just a result of your early game mistakes by Gambit. I was expecting Gambit to do a bit better, especially in this off lane.
but the Alchemist stun really took them by surprise. Usually don't get stunned this early. In fact, look at this. He's actually going for an offlane Alchemist build almost. Well, you keep your roll speed level 1, you max acid spray, and you go for the stun. Cover could die here in the top lane. Stroke of Fate, not going to help him too much. Zani's like, guys, I'm a DK. I can really just hit. Like, I survived forever, but there's not much kill potential, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's just so much damage. And I mean, the Breathe Fire is really nice, actually, because of how his support Grimstroke to actually trade with the Shaman, who's got base damage, which is higher. But the issue comes, and they still have a crap ton of magic damage to deal with. You can't really negate it. Earth Spirit might be able to get a kill here now onto the poor little Coddle. Body blocks is going to be just good enough. Nicely done.
No Venom though, so Coddle might just be able to get away. No, the last hit will do the trick.
Yeah,
he tried to use the high ground in his favor and avoid the Stroke of Fate. Almost really well played up on Doman. Enough.
It was impressive. He buys a lot of time, and that does come at the rotation of what is the Grimstroke. But now that we've got level 2 Dragon's Blood on the DK, I don't want to say he's unkillable because he's still going to be a little bit in this sort of kill range here, especially if the Storm is missing how quickly they ping it as soon as they. It's just going to be okay. They might make an effort here for our Alchemist, and they will. Nice Stroke of Fate into the Rolling Boulder combo. He's going to be channeling the stun, but unable to get it off. Well, rather, it just explodes on him, and as he dies.
That's what happens, by the way, guys. If you don't use the stun. Blizzy in trouble as well at the bottom lane. No more Solar Bind, but Blizzy's like, guys, I'm just going to die. Time for the Storm. He might even want to die quicker just so they can respawn faster and come back into the lane.
Yeah, I mean, it does guarantee the mid lane rune, but rather for the Morphlane, which is an arcane, which you definitely don't want the Storm to be having. Just okay for the Morphlane. It's just a bottle refill for him. But in terms of what that quote-unquote cost for the Storm Spirit to miss out on, maybe another kill. Maybe you gank top with that.
Especially because Morphling is so static that whenever Storm gets a good rune and starts ganking, you're like, well, guys, I'm sorry, you're on your own, right? You can't really match his rotations. DK might be able to, but Morphling can't. He's just supposed to push this.
Yeah, and he's doing a pretty good job of farming at least. 44 and 4 compared to the 40 and 6. Alchemist here with the Gloves of Face. That must be for power charge. I refuse to believe. And the Alchemist is going to lane, so instead, in his wake, rather, he will leave Storm Spirit, who's already level 7 now. Without level 6 here, without the arena on our Mars, there's really not a whole lot of potential either. The Alchemist, now that he's got level 6, same goes for Lornoff. There's not a whole lot of kill potential this way either. Coddle TP'ing in. Ooh, Lornoff made the decision to actually waveform up aggressively, but again, it's so hard to kill. These two heroes just about unkillable here at this stage of the game. I wager to say, at least with the Chemical Rage ready.
Has been killed.
For now, the DK has been just trying to get his first main. Usually that's going to be the point of inflection for Gambit. I like that they're playing patiently, though. I think a lot of people, when they see an announcement, just rush at him. And yeah, last game they played way too passively, but there needs to be a bit of patience. You want to play with your item timings regardless.
No, definitely, and we're getting there, and this is a much better support duo to gank. In fact, this could be another kill, and very likely is, because we still have the Rolling Boulder to follow up if we need it, and we don't.
About you.
Hey, why even take the tower here down bottom? Notice, oh, this is what I'm talking about, right? Look at the DK, already going down bottom. And this is what also challenges to do a lot, which is you can gank the mid lane, in this case because the Morphling is there, so if you gank it, you're just going to make the Morphling feel more pressure. So instead, you just gank bottom, try to take this tower with the Dragon form, and then proceed to go to the triangle to farm more safely.
Pretty static in the mid lane as once again the Storm will go without a power rune. It's an invis into the bottle of our Morphling. Looks like their Gambit rather is going to be able to pay Winstrike to the punch here for the first tower. Thanks of course here to the, it's poison for the first level, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's poison for all levels now, right?
They actually get the Storm in the mid lane as well. Again, it's a nice, neat little combo here. Level 5 here is going to pick up a point of the silence, which you generally don't see on most Earth Spirits, but when there's another spirit in the game, and this game there's 2, it's always well worth it.
I guess nowadays you say that you do see it very often because of how often you see the spirits, right? But you're right.
That's true.
The ideal build would not be picking silence.
Exactly. It's more of a result of having the spirits in the game than it is of the Earth Spirit himself being picked up. And in fact,
they sure can. Another spirit.
Risky TP.
Well, Excess Vampire already got a taste of Fratricide. He's liking it.
He is. He's going for a second one here.
Let's go. Coming more Satan's Excess Vampire.
Hover ready with the Inkswell. Level 2 here already. Oh, okay.
Middle brother for the win. They go for the Storm. Youngest brother is dead. The oldest brother is more experienced, so he can get away thanks to his wisdom.
He can, but they're going to lose a second tower here. This is a really bad trade for Winstrike. Yes, your Alchemist is farming, but he did take the point in Unstable Concoction, which massively actually slows down his farm here. Yes. It's a difference of 3 per last hit. At the max level, is it? Or what's the difference? Greed stacks here?
Per.
Yeah, it's 3.
Or at max, of course. But it's also the bounty runes, which is a big deal. And on top of that, it's not so much that you don't take the point in Grivel's Greed, I would say. You don't get the full points in Grivel's Greed and Acid Spread, both of which help you farm, right? So Unstable Concoction is purely for fights. As an Alk in the core position, the reason why you don't take any points in this is like, well, I don't want to fight at all in the early. Until I get like 3-4 items, I don't want to fight. And his timing for Battle Fury is still respectable, but for an Alk, minute 10 with boots, minute 11, just okay.
It's having a bit of a slower start, and immediately they're going to go and smoke into the jungle. There's a nice ward here watching for Win, baited into thinking safe call, but the scan will actually scout someone. Interesting movement here. They're looking to try and secure both runes. The Shaman likely to sacrifice his life for this bounty, but it's well worth it. Our DK unable to get a kill. He's 500 gold away from the blink, but he might not need it to land this stun now onto the Alchemist, who is going to get off his chemical rage. Or Spear rolling on in. Gets hexed up, but not before he gets the stun and the silence off, and that's plenty of damage there, Alvo. In fact, they're going to try for Cheshire Cat, who still has one Astral Step at the ready. There's going to be a jump down to the back line as our Grimstroke was trying to de-ward, gets the Phantoms and brace off, but a very nice blind light. That's not going to stop the stun from coming though, and plenty more damage.
They took down the Storm and the Alchemist, the two main cores in the enemy team. And here's where we're talking about the kind of greed that Winstrike is showing. Right now, they're just not fit for fighting.
No,
and the DK really ups their tempo on Gambit, which is why I love this pick. I'm liking the Gambit is playing well this time. And also, they really took advantage of Storm's ball lightning level 1. DK had Dragon Tail, of course, in Dragon form, which means it's a projectile. Storm can avoid that, but not with ball lightning level 1. It's
projectile with the additional cast range. That's the trade-off you get.
Yes, of course.
And now that's not going to be a problem so much as we are going to have this Blink Dagger after this fight. Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I've seen this in a couple regions. It's not so much bad as Nagasaran is. The idea that this boosts up your experience gain a lot, and Morph is one of the best carries or mid laners at using experience. That's why Morph is very popular in the mid lane as well, right? Experience. Your talents at level 15 and 20 are super valuable, and so is getting Morph maxed possible. So I kind of like the idea of a Midas. And I mean, the only thing in this game is that Midas against Alk might be a bit too greedy.
It is.
But I can see that because DK and Mars are getting so much space for you, you feel like it's warranted. I don't disagree with it. It helps you keep up with Alk's farm as well.
And I think you're going to be able to bring the pressure to the Alchemist.
Oh, so many stacks. Ooh.
Very, very quickly here. A lot of stacks. They're being pinged out here. Storm nearby can look to steal him, but he still has ball lightning level 1.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
There's the X-Roll from the Earth Spirit. Not going to catch Rabel. And this time he's going to be recalled as well with a Condor. Nice, okay. So that's
nice job there.
I actually didn't consider that, but that's a good idea of, or a good way to take advantage of the recall, right? Storm can cut lanes, you recall from that, and then you get the ball lightning to get the vulnerability. Phantom's Embrace plus a silence. There's no time for Shishigat to get that Phantom's Embrace off of.
This is such a great combo here, actually. The Grimstroke and the Earth Spirit.
It's very, very good.
Because you only actually need the first point in the which is only 2 seconds. It's not a whole lot of time for you to act. But what it does do is it gives you enough time for the Phantom to start flying over, which is a much bigger pain in the butt to deal with here. And of course, that's going to last a That's going to be quite annoying here for the side of Winstrike to deal with, as it's not only effective against the Void Spirit, but also equally as effective here. He almost has his Orchid, though, so that's going to be a nice point of inflection. Could potentially start to rattle the Morphling a little bit with that one, who doesn't yet have a Dispel.
I don't know. I mean, I can see the value of Orchid versus Morphling, but it's very dangerous to go Orchid first in a game against DK and Earth Spirit Grimstroke, right? There's so many ways to get to silence you or stun you. One of which, by the way, when the DK is not in Dragon form, will be instant. So Storm cannot avoid that, especially once you have Blink down.
Especially once you... Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing, actually, to build off that point, I really wouldn't mind seeing Scepter instead, right? Because you can use it defensively, but also your brother, who is sometimes usually played as the mid laner and would like to build that item first, doesn't have it, right? He's going to be going for the Vessel first. Very useful against the Morphling as well as the team. Someone needs to build this game. Who better than him? I think that's a great decision, but now it's going to leave him without a setup here for the Aether Remnant, which could potentially lead to a kill here or there. And especially when you set it up with the not too unlikely, or it's not too unrealistic for the Storm to zip in, to have his older brother Astral step in, and that's just as efficient as it would be, or rather, that combo is just as efficient as it would Spirit, except this time.
Exactly. Now we'll see what Gambit... Sorry, we'll see what Winstrike has to do as they're starting to get to the window opportunity where they should be able to utilize the Alk and Storm to start getting actual kills, right? The Alc has enough farm, but instead it's actually Gambit who's still putting the pressure. Look at that spear, very well done. Avoiding the still for protection. They stop the Dragon Tail. It can't come out thanks to the Shadow Shaman's Hex. Very well done. And Irachio will manage to just heal back up. They stop Shaman from continue to putting out spells, but they will punish the Earth Spirit for going a bit too far. Excess Vampire does not have the rolling boulder, so he's incapable of rolling himself to safety, and Winstrike will get yet another kill. Not bad for them. I mean, honestly, considering you stopped initiation by Gambit, but this is what I was talking about, right? I think Winstrike is starting to reach that momentum point, especially with the Orc.
Yep, they're going to be incredibly... They're starting to swing this one around here a little bit. Alchemist is now beginning to farm a lot faster here. He's going to have the Sange ready to go. SNY soon to follow, so plenty of stats. And they're going to be interrupting another stacked Ancient farm in here is Lorinov. He's not going to be able to escape this one too easily thanks to the Solar Bind, but he's off and away now with the wave form as they're going to live to turn this one with the Stroke of Fate. Now on to 2. They're going to get the initial kill onto the Shaman, looking for more as well. Falling quite low here is going to be the Alchemist pinned to the wall and killed now, as it's 3 heroes for none. Nice counter rotations there by Gambit as they move on in and defend. Very, very valuable. Catch the Storm that time, but a kill onto the Alchemist means about reset those Greevil's decks, and that really hurts his bottom line.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough one to stomach for Winstrike, because now that you're finally getting to those points where you're kind of capable of fighting, you're like, all right, how are we still losing these fights? At what point will they start winning? And also, more importantly, at what point will Gambit just be unbeatable? Right? Because the Morphling will have the Scotty very shortly as well, or soon enough, right?
Soon
After
enough, he's getting there. So he's getting that big old stack of Ancients they failed to take.
Oh, Orchid.
Oh, nice reaction time though.
That's incredible. Orchid is instant, by the way, guys. It might not look that way in this game, but that was instant reaction by Lorinov.
I mean, to be fair, he did see him farming here, right? So
okay,
he had. I mean, I'm not saying
take away from Lorinov's accomplishment.
Hey,
You're like my dad.
I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm still very impressed, and I'm proud of you, Lauren. But it was still going to be rather...
that's what I want to hear my whole life.
It's still rather difficult to do. That is also going to reveal the presence of a ward for them, unfortunately.
Bye-bye, Coddle.
See ya.
I mean, stuns make it so easy to catch him. He couldn't even move there. God's Rebuke to finish him off. Create more space that way. Not bad. I think that Gambit is keeping toe-to-toe and just making sure that Alc doesn't have the easiest time farming, right? I don't think it's Alc's fault that he's low on net worth. It's really just that he just didn't get any space. Right now, Alc looks like a normal carry. He's a bit above the enemy team, but no way should an Alc be only 1k above.
No, that's not why you pick an Alchemist. In fact, that's why he used to be so weak when neutral items came out and you could carry more than one. The whole point of having an Alchemist was that you wanted to be an item at least ahead of everyone else. That's where his bread and butter comes from, because eventually, once you're 6-slotted, Greevil's Greed really ain't worth jack diddly squat. You'd rather have any other passive in the game than Greevil's at minute 50, right? At minute 20, that's not the case, and that's still not the case right now. If Winstrike not out of this one, again, with the Alchemist in the game, give him enough space and time and he will recover. The important thing is getting intermittent kills on him and resetting the Greevil's Greed, because it really slows him down. In this game, already with 3 deaths, Gambit are doing a better job of it compared to game 1.
And because as well, the pressure by Gambit also includes objectives and of course taking over map control, that means that Winstrike doesn't have the, I guess, the ease of just stacking and knowing these stacks won't be taken. So Alchemist don't have any recovery stacks, neither does a Storm. In fact, you have 2 heroes in Winstrike, both of which are 3 arguably, because also Void Spirit, that can take stacks super easily, and you're not able to utilize this factor because Gambit are all over the map. They're not letting you have any control, particularly because they're mid-tier 1 towers still.
And now we have the Manta style ready for more. We saw maybe 3 minutes of Orchid pre-Manta style, and those days already numbered, and in fact the number is 0, Alvaro, because we now got the Dispel for Morphling ready to go, so he's no longer as vulnerable to combo. I assume we're going to be building an Axe soon enough for the Void Spirit, but that's still a long ways away. They did actually Serpent Ward here for the tier 2 tower and able to try and speed that push up a little bit more, but again, Gambit, they don't really care. They still get the tier 2 tower, they still have their mid 1, and right now the game is hands for now. Again, the Alchemist is recovering in farm. He's nearly got a full BK. Gonna smoke up and look to apply some pressure. Unfortunately, Cheshire Cat's not the ideal one to jump, but he is if you land the silence. And there we go, that 1-2 punch. Plenty of damage to easily set up for a follow-up stun. There goes now our Dragon Knight onto the back lines. Unable to find a stun onto anyone, however, as he will be instead orchided by the Storm Spirit. Another rolling boulder forward to try and catch the Coddle. He's too fast, though. Oh no.
He had to do that to save the Alka.
He had to do that. Yep, you're right.
That was the right play there. Yamich might have just given his Alka second life, but still, Gambit, only 2k difference between Alka and Morphling, and they continue to put pressure. And in proper CIS style, the first thing they do is take over your triangle, hopefully maybe just take the tier 1. I mean, honestly, they could just rotate to the tier 1 and take it. There's no backdoor protection on that.
Under attack.
It's true. Yeah, no backdoor protection exists for the tier 1 towers. Walk on over and blow the go here, continuing to the enemy jungle, trying to farm wherever he can. Scout it now, though. Morphling's not too far away here, mind you. The BKB is nearly completed, but not yet. As Alchemist, unfortunately, I think the Gambit's up for him. Got plenty of damage. Oh, he bought out for the BKB, though.
Okay, that's good. That's not too bad then. At least you don't lose much net worth. Still worthwhile kill, but not too much net worth. That's nice. Blizzy chasing after Pantoman. Oh, hello. DK stops him before he gets to the bounty, and now the Caudible experience.
Zani hates merry-go-rounds. Can't stand them. He thinks they're quite boring rides, and they deserve dragging tails.
He says that because that's the sound bottle makes it.
Yeah, that's his tone. Yeah, he gets the pole and
I've never been to merry.
Have you really?
Yeah, I mean,
they're really big in the U.S.
I know, that's why. I know of them because I've seen them in your movies.
You know, Ferris wheels are also really big in Chicago. We love them.
Oh, Ferris wheels I've been. But I've always noticed that in American movies, merry-go-rounds are either a place for where things or where they...
Do they study?
Yes, that's exactly it. Good, responsible teenagers.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gambit, with this lead, I don't think they're too uncomfortable this match, especially now that the Scotty is about to come out of Morphling. It's getting a bit tough for Winstrike to recover, especially because Storm has become a relegated...
You say Scotty, but I think it's actually, it ought to be a Butterfly here.
Or it's going E-Blade.
Yeah, or E-Blade, yeah. Probably that's the more likely scenario.
I was hoping for this. I mean, I just think Scotty just sent it to the game here.
I agree with you.
But I get that E-Blade, one of the things about E-Blade is it's much better against Storm and Void. Scotty doesn't do anything. So I can see that if you're just trying to win. I mean, look at where Storm is. His net worth is awful. They're going to catch the Mars. In comes the Earth Spirit. Mars in trouble. There's a Soul Bind onto 2. Stop the Storm. They silence him as well. And they're all cutting the arena of blood. Storm is dead. So is the Shadow Shaman. They try to go for the Void Spirit as well. And they use his own Ether Remnant against them. That's going to be the Morphling. I was playing there as the Void Spirit for a second. They do lose Blizzy in the engagement, and Grimstroke will also fall, but I think it's honestly still beneficial for Gambit. You might be losing as Winstrike, so any kill is important, but Storm just can't die. He's so far behind.
And that hurt especially. I mean, the thing is that was the 10-second BKB there for Blizzy. He unfortunately has to die, but gets off a great arena before he goes. And even better than that was going to be the Grimstroke able to actually soulbind onto the Storm Spirit. I don't know who else he caught there, but it didn't really end up mattering at the end of the day, as it was going to be good enough there for the kill. Oh, wow, they're going for more though. Zani underneath the tier 1's got to be a bit careful here. The Storm Spirit respawning in 5 seconds. Already 2 TPs now completed to the tower. Good silence there. Will catch the Shaman to make sure there's no hex or shackles to follow up. Zani going to pop the BKB. He wants to take no chances, but not get the chance here, Avo. Oh, 10-second BKB. He's fine. And instead it's going to be the Grimstroke having to dive back, who I wanted to mention died on his first life because it looks like he got pushed in between the snakes by something. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, so they have a 4-staff. No.
I mean, I'm watching the same camera you are, friendo. So I don't think we caught it. I'm sorry.
No. He was just all of a sudden, 1 second he was outside of the Serpent Wards, and then the next second he was inside.
He might have had face boots and messed up with that or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, blinding light, maybe?
Blinding light, yeah.
Could have been, because I can't think of anything else that pushed you. And then go for the Roshan now. Trying here with a BKB arena one as well. Catch the Alchemist. They go in with a shotgun. There's Morphling. And with the Earth Spirit on top of that, no need for the Axe there. The Earth Spirit is just going to be that good, stopping Durasho completely.
And Yamich as well. Couldn't do a darn thing to help from inside the pit. He's got all this cast range for nothing.
Is he cosplaying as a ward?
He is.
He is. Guys, look, I have so much vision. Go for the Mars. Mars caught from behind. He can't be this sassy. Gotta show the front like a true warrior. But he's going to lose his life. Excess Vampire instead trying to kill off Yamich, but his rolling boulder will be blocked.
Here come the reinforcements, though. Here comes the Cavalry. Zani, as well as the Morphling, still have plenty of utility to use here, but it doesn't look like instead Morphling wants to farm. He's going to farm the Serpent Wards, which give a lot of gold. They give a lot of gold here, so that's not insignificant.
Yeah, Morphling like, thank you.
Thank you.
It's like when people drop Tombstone when you're about to die. You're like, no, you're just feeding them more gold.
Exactly. So that's going to be the Roshan attempt stopped in its tracks. I do have to commend the positioning here of our DK as well. Zani, nicely done. Him and the Earth Spirit just both jumping in, controlling exactly who they need to. And despite the team, I mean, how rarely do you see the team with a Shaman going, it feels like they need more lockdown.
Oh, yeah, it's true, right?
Right?
I guess because the lockdown they provides is just not available this game because there's so many ways of interrupting that Shackles. So realistically, Shaman is just a hex. I haven't seen a single Shackles for more than like a second, unless it's been like a gank, right?
Yep.
Because Morphling can interrupt, actually every single hero in Gambit can interrupt the Shackles.
Very good point, yeah, all of them can.
Because Morphling does have the mini stun, very often not used of course, but it's only 3-second cooldown between it at the strikes. In fact, if you ever needed it for free, he can always go for the shard for some reason.
They're gonna keep up the pressure here. What's our Alchemist got? He's going for the ace. Got the Hyperstone, but that's gonna be his newest item. Again, will reveal some heroes here in the general vicinity. Storm nearly at his peak. Death here would be so costly, and it looks like that might be ace, as this is a well-executed smoke. Blizzy leading the charge, will get Hex, but there's going to be the rolling boulder on in. He's looking for the backliners. They don't really want the Shaman, but they're going to have to take him first. Looking for more, though, as into the trees goes our Earth Spirit with the 10-10. Uh-oh. That could be a kill here. They might have enough stuns for him. Lornov running over. He could shackle him as the Shaman, but instead, why bother to do that when you could just go and nuke him down?
Ah, that's incredible. The Alchemist is not having a game at all.
Nope.
Morphling has been itemized against him. He's just like, guys, I'm dominating. I'm Morphling.
He's just got damage. He's got plenty of stats, and he can fight. I think even if it came down to it, I doubt actually the Alchemist could go mano a mano with the Morphling right now, simply because there's just too many stats. And with the E-Blade as well as the Manta style providing you two sort of semi-escapes, especially the E-Blade against an Alchemist, which is, what is he going to do, throw an acid spray at you?
Right? It's true, yeah. You do nothing against the Morphling, and that matchup is pretty bad. And I think the DK was the play that really made Gambit kind of come together, because thanks to the DK, you could really mitigate the Morphling and just have a really nice early game. Another great arena blood by Blizzy. He's going to go here for the Shadow Shaman. Pretty valuable kill, honestly, but he's alone here. Now Zani joining in, together with Assault by double E-Blade. Finally, the BKB comes out from the storm, but he still leads to his brother.
Yeah, that BKB, it's a 10-second BKB, but now Zani's going to pop his instead. They're going to throw a little bit of an unstable concoction, but that's not going to do much to try and hold him back. Zani going for more. Oh, that's a bad blink, but I think it's still going to catch Cheshire Cat here, pinned to the wall once, twice, and just completely nuked down. So much control here on the side of Gambit, even without the Earth Spirit. It's incredible.
That DK is fantastic, honestly. That pick is what... Blizzy's been playing an incredible game, though, on the Mars. I think, to me, the MVP is Blizzy in terms of playstyle, but the draft also played a huge part in Gambit. It was a really smart, clever, outside the box.
I totally agree. Hold on.
Now we don't have BKB on the DK anymore. He might actually die. The Alchemist is going to chunk him. Okay, Jarchu actually deals damage. Blizzy could be in trouble as well as the Storm jumps up to him. And Blizzy is not going to be able to survive this onslaught. Gambit losing too. And this is, I would say, a turning point, but is the start for something for Winstrike.
It's costly.
It's important for them.
It's costly is what it is, because now this is going to give you a guaranteed another full minute for Alchemist to farm, you know? And you have to remember, it's only 1 minute, not too bad. Last game, Dracula had 1,025 GPM. It's not going to be anywhere close. This game is going to be losing, but it's still a very respectable, nearly 800. So he's going to another 800 gold into his pocket. What does that get him? 25 more stats at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not to be trifled with.
No. Over destruction for the Morphling. Actually, this is pretty good for the Mars, honestly. I think it's really good on Mars, because God's Rebuke applies it to everyone. I understand the point of Enchanted Quiver. It works nicely with him, but I think the Orb might be a consideration to swap it around with the Morphling. He just dropped it here. See, okay, they give the Orb to the Morphling. Less, it's less slow, but the minus armor is the same, right? Whether you're ranged or melee.
On which one, sorry?
On the Orb Destruction.
So, no, it's different.
No, the slow is different, but the armor reduction is the same. Okay, so Morphling is just looking to amplify his damage. I don't think the slow is that relevant to the item, honestly, unless you're like a lifestealer or something.
Two fluffy hats. We've lent our coddle our hats for now.
We didn't lend him. He just stole him.
He stole him. He paid me 125 gold, and I looked the other way. Is Pupper dead? Yeah, Pupper is dead.
And they're gonna catch out here the Alchemist, though. This is much more valuable kill. Wow. Good force to try to save him, but it's not gonna be enough. They have way too much damage. Yamich tries to TP. There's the Adaptive Strike to cancel that TP. And they even find Cheshire Cat, who dissimulates, plays around, but the dissimulate is not gonna get him far enough, and the DK is just gonna chase him to death.
You can only run so much from this team, and barely,
honestly.
I mean, very, very good job there by our Earth Spirit. And actually, this brings me to the point I wanted to bring up earlier when you said that the MVP Okay. I cannot not say. I can't argue that Zani has been having a bad game.
wait.
Because that's not true
That
by any means.
Dragon Tail
as he's
again.
going to be looking to catch the Storm Spirit. Might have the damage on his own. There's not a whole lot of mana left on our Storm Spirit, so he's just going to be ran down. Enchanted Quiver there, doing quite a number.
That was Enchanted Quiver 100%. I was wondering, it's like, okay, I know DK hurts, but this much? Quiver. Very valuable
That
item.
is a ton of damage, but really I have to give a whole lot of credit to, and you know, support player here, so of course this is what I'm going to do. But Pubber, Pubber as well as Excess Vampire have been playing excellently together. They really have. This Silence combo, even early on, I mentioned that when the Earth Spirit was back to level 5, followed up by the Phantom's Embrace, has been working wonders for this very lockdown-prone team that is Winstrike. So I gotta say, this early game was definitely carried by those two supports.
They played really well, all of them, honestly.
All of Gambit really have.
If you show me game number 1 and then game number 2, and you cover the names of the team, and you tell me these are the same teams, I wouldn't believe you, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Gambit, their playstyle is completely different as well. Not as passive. They're playing much more aggressively this game. They knew when to take risks, when to take advantage of their early game potential. It's very clear to me now, after seeing game number 2, that yeah, Gambit might have not been in their best time compared to the old Gambit, but the first game was more of a draft limitation than anything else.
Absolutely. This time we've got a much more clear-cut sort of, you're going to do this and this, and then blah, 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 right? Lorenov, he's managed, and so has Zani, and managed to find their farm during this phase created by the sports. This whole team's just going to find how it's not bad, it's not amazing, but taking him out of the fight for 45 seconds is...
But Richie had 2 fluffy hats. How did he die?
How could they kill him? That's illegal.
Okay, Zani has an Invis rune. He doesn't even know he's walking alongside in
Blizzy's
parallel.
coming.
Yeah, he knows.
This is going to be a
That's
kill.
instant Dragon Tail. There we go. They also, so much damage to Enchanted Quiver. Perfectly stunned with the spear. Bit too far, but it's okay.
Yep.
And Lorenov even finds a shotgun kill.
It's just a bloodbath now. They're going for another one as well.
I hear a BKB.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a, I mean, I guess
9-second BK. Oh, 8-second BK for that one.
I mean, you survive, so I think that's the right play, but at the same time,
Of course, it's
you're so far behind.
He doesn't have the buyback here, so yeah, I mean, it keeps them in the game, so obviously that BKB is well worth it, because I think if the Elk dies, I think you just straight up lose here. When your 3 cores dead, I mean, there's not really much the Shaman and Coddle can hope to do.
The Acid Spray does nothing anymore, though.
Look at how much damage there is.
He is great at pushing, so is the Morphling. Mars actually adds a bit to it. They even have an Orb of Destruction.
That's not the issue, though. The issue is that it's coming from all 3 lanes, Alvo.
It's true.
All
They don't
3
have a
lanes
single
are
tier 2.
completely pushed in. They don't even have a yeah, they can't have a tier 2 if they have any tier 1. So there they go. There goes the wave. 2 lanes of melee barracks taken. The full lane of bottom barracks taken. Gambit, just like Winstrike was in game number 1, they're going to play it extremely patiently here.
Yep, that's true. Smart by them. I mean, you're in the league, dude. This is DPC. Most people might not see the excitement or the pressure that teams feel. It might be less pressure, honestly, because it's a league format, but every point counts. Particularly because Gambit did not do... do well in the first match of the season.
Right. They didn't have a good
They're the
first
only
showing.
2-0, actually. They got beat by PuckChamp 2-0, which does suck a bit. I think the points are different, particularly. We get 2-0 and 1, and so the ties, right? And Gambit will definitely want to secure it. So, as safe as possible, don't make any mistakes. Winstrike, you have 1 Hail Mary play, which might be this smoke.
Yeah, I mean, a quick correction there, of course. This is not the C region, so there's no ties here.
Wow, that was awful. That was so awful. Clearly, there's no ties because you're incredibly unprofessional.
Well. At least I wear pants.
That's true. Find the tier 3 here.
We've got Beto on Mars, I just want to point out.
Plus Orb of Destruction.
Yep.
These are melting, dude.
Wow.
What are these buildings? Nobody. They need to come to here to learn how to build these structures because they're destroying them. Morphling, though, in trouble, and they managed to get a kill. He does buyback. There's the Arena Blood. Morphling doesn't want to come back into the game just yet, though, as DK is going to try to tank this. They realize the Al can still get a quick kill, and the DK will also fall to the Raucho. Basher made a difference, so they finally got the stuns they wanted. Gambit played a bit over-aggressively with that initiation. They still have buybacks. The game's not lost, but you are giving Winstrike a chance.
I think they probably had a very similar reaction that we did, which is, oh my god, these buildings are melting. You know, I think Lycan from last game was going to come over and give him a tip. Hey, make sure you build your barracks out of bricks, not straw, right?
Yes.
That's going to be a little bit better. That's a 3 little
Or
piggies.
the Morphling huffs and puffs them down.
Yeah,
right?
seriously, you got to make sure it's out of brick, guys. Those ones out of twigs. That's not much better. What are you doing?
Yeah, those racks are not well built. I don't know. They have so much pushing power here with DK and Morphling, plus Desolator, plus Over Distraction.
Yeah, they didn't stand a single there. BKB was used there
Oh, they even
by
have AC. I didn't even know it.
salutations to that and goodbye to your towers.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, they only have, I mean, it's a terrifying position to be in here. They've got the range barracks, which are not going to regen, that are still alive on a sliver of HP, and another range barracks that are already lower, right? 300 HP is not to be trifled with, missing off of buildings.
I think Morphling can just literally go and ignore your backdoor protection. Genuinely, I think he has enough damage.
I think he probably needs the minus armor of Mars, and then, yeah. I think the -6 is pretty significant, but yes. But they can't go in like that. Luckily for Gambit, though, it's not completely an L because it's going to be a long Roche. Winstrike, my goodness, they would have been thank lucky stars and buying an extra level in the Battle Pass next season if it had been a quick Roche. Sadly for them, it is not. But the good news
Long to the Roche.
it's about a minute, is they didn't have to buy back on any of their cores that fight. Only the Shaman had to buy back there, so it's not crucial to get a kill here. But they're going to be going for more. Pubber.
This is a good kill if they can.
Oh,
Damage. Storm comes back in. I left something behind, guys. Don't mind me. But now Storm's out of mana. Activates the BKB. And now there is a Scotty Morphling. And goodbye, Storm. Let's see if the Alchemy fight them. Blizzy will just tank the Alchemy. The damage is superior from Gambit.
Void Spirit, triple silence.
Void Spirit, so many silences. The man no longer has any vocal cords. Yamage will fall as well. They're going for more. They go for more. The Coddle's a target. Her Spirit, though, might have been enough more than he could chew, as now the Alchemist is going to start to jump him down.
No BKBs.
But he has no Chemical Rage. No BKBs either. Lornav is going to murder. He gets the Rampage against Coddle. Finishes off the Alch and forces the Rage Quit from Storm, as they call the GG. Gambit will take this game in an aggressive fashion and secure a game number 3.
Once again here, you're going to hate me because I'm going to make another punt, but that was quite literally another Gambit. They sacrifice, you know, a quick sack on the Grimstroke to finish the game in exchange for a full team wipe and then some. As after the buybacks, they all get wiped.
team ban. Ban. Dire team ban.
Oh.
Radiant team pick.
You gotta put on your mugger hat. I got a knife. Give me your wallet. So anyway, I stopped blasting. Hey kid, are you home alone? Oh my gosh. You wanna buy a crush on your couch?
Imagine if you get this on a couch surfing kind of app. That'd be so creepy.
Oh no. No, we don't.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I showed them right up.
5 seconds remaining.
Yep. Guys, and welcome back. Eastern European. Okay, wow.
I didn't
almost
have
crashed there.
I didn't have my hand on the wheel. You started talking and I got scared.
That makes sense. It happens a lot. I can't drive because my hand.
That's actually very true. You know, that happens with my father. I couldn't imagine. Talks. He shouldn't do this, but he talks with he's on the cell phone, and then he starts talking with his other hand. And
I do that too. Yeah, I've actually thrown my cell phone across rooms by accident.
I could see it. You do not like. But you know what we have our hands on now, Alvaro?
The DPC League, the lower division of Eastern European,
Yes.
empowered by Intel.
And in fact, more specifically, draft for game number 3. Let's go ahead and pull over here and get started.
5 seconds remaining.
As we start with Gambit, game number 3. This is for all the marbles, Richie.
It is.
This gets to keep our van. The day, of course. We swap vans every day. Driving a different.
Is that true? Is that part of the lore?
Yeah, it's part of the lore.
Radiant team ban.
So, Gambit versus Winstrike. Very exciting. As game number 1, we see a good performance of Winstrike. Really nice Alchemist pick. I think they did very, very well. But then in game number 2, the draft, it seemed forced, in my opinion. It seemed a bit forced because they won, and the storm was
10 seconds
pick.
remaining.
Now in game number 3, a great draft from both.
Radiant
Very
team
exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we started pretty strong from both teams here as well. The Gambit Esports, I mean, nothing wrong with Excess Vampire on the Earth Spirit. I'd take another game of that, and luckily they're going to give it to us.
He's his best here.
He is so good on the hero. It really is quite impressive to watch. You know, it really sucks because Earth Spirit's one of those heroes where you watch a pro play him and you go, wow, I want to do that too. And then you play your own game and you miss your rolling boulder and you're like, wow, you don't even hit your remnant. But that's going to be versus the Bat Rider and the Wraith King. But the Oracle here already to try and contend with the Bat Rider. So it's going to be a little bit more instead it be a mid lane bat, thanks to won't have to deal with Oracle constantly dispel. I think Bat's a little bit stronger in the mid lane. They did nerf the talked about it before, right? He's better with XP.
Last game I was very impressed. Last game I was very impressed with Pubber because he's a stand-in for this team, and he has played previously on teams like Vampire, but to still have the coordination to be able to get that combo reliably with the Earth Spirit was really impressive. And we already saw one of his signature heroes, that being Crystal Maiden. Now it's Oracle, another one of Pubber's signature heroes. Again, this guy used to play carry. He started in competitive as carry. So now that you see him, you're starting to see that he just wants to make sure his carry has a good game because he knows what a carry wants, right? So that's why Pubber, after transitioning, is capable of applying the best kind of supporting that a carry like. And I think that's why he plays heroes like Crystal May and Oracle, heroes that are known for enabling.
I think the Oracle, especially here in fights, it can get away with picking something like an Ursa, a Troll, heroes that are generally speaking very easily kited out, and then you can kind of just save them from there. Go, no, don't worry. You can play your game, play as aggressive as you like. You'll have me behind you.
Exactly.
And having that trust between a support player, especially a stand-in,
Yes.
you know, is rather difficult. Usually it takes not like years, but it takes usually more games than a stand-in has with the team to really sort of make that mesh. And that's the one thing I would look out for this game. Pubber has been playing for a while. This is his second showing with the team. 2 games here in the DPC lower division.
And he's played with a majority of these players before in previous
Yes.
iterations of. Right.
So that's
particularly Blizzy.
Exactly. So that's going to help. But the question is, does he have that synergy with Zani, who the Oracle is going to be playing almost attached to the hip to, right? Not quite to the degree of a Wisp will have, but it's going to have to be really, really fluid there. You know, it's the same as like playing a pub and then playing a 5-stack with your mates. You guys kind of know already how you're going to be acting, how you're reacting. Oh, my bait Avo, he really likes to dive on the tier 1 tower if he can get the chance. So I know to play aggressive with him. No, that's not true. He just likes to feed him. one.
But diving implies there's some sort of objective.
But my point stands, right?
Yes.
Is when you got a lot of experience here, especially in professional Dota with another team, you're going to tend to.
Shaman.
Nothing wrong with the Shaman last game.
No, but against Oracle, I'm not really sure because the same idea, long stuns that get cancelled. Earthspirit can cancel the Shaman yet again, so there's a lot of the same issues. Like I said, I don't think anything was wrong with the Shaman, but he didn't get to play his game. I want to add to the point, by the way, about the Oracle and the, going with your carry, that Oracle is the kind of support that if you're going into a team fight and Oracle is part of that team fight, you're either coming out alive because you won or you are dying. Like there's no way Oracle gets away unless he has B and by some. He's not a support that, like Earthspirit, that can kind of make it out if something happens. Hell, even supports like Shadow Demon or Vengeful Spirit have options because at least they carry stuns. Oracle, you use your save on a carry and you're done for. That's the team fight for you, and you might as well die at that point. So that's why the synergy between him and the carry are much more important, because usually it's the carry who makes the final call of saying, this is a team fight we can win, this is a team fight we can't. Because the carry is obviously your win conditions.
And a lot of times, if you listen to the comms of players, it's not so much the player saying, hey, let's take this. It's more of just, hey, I feel strong, let's fight this, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the carries are just naturally, they're not really the in-game leader, to borrow a term from CIS. They're not usually the carry. But because they do determine so much of the tempo these days in Dota, especially after the 20-minute mark, you tend to have to rely on them if they're feeling confident, or if they're not, then that tends.
Actually, a lot of the carries I've interviewed said that after like a 20-minute mark or 25 or 30, they're very silent at the beginning.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they all actually are the ones making the calls.
Well, and that's kind of what I see. What I mean is like, no, are we fighting this? And then your carry will chime in and say, I feel strong, let's fight this. Right.
Yeah. The Darkseer pick here for Gambit I like, because Oracle is a great counter to you, so you already have that already, and Earthspirit is a great help for you. Winstrike could still counter the Darkseer if you want to pick Enchantress, one of the easiest counters to Darkseer. You could dispel the Iron Shell, you dispel the Surge, and you're also capable of trips, right? So I like, sorry, taking the creeps.
Yep.
I think I was going.
I think you were as well here, but we pull over when we cast. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, it would be unsafe.
It would be unsafe. Don't cast and drive. Don't drive distracted. Don't ever drink and drive. None of that.
Yeah, but genuinely, don't text and drive.
Don't text and drive as well. Very, very unsafe. There is a lot of risk. There's no need to take that. It can wait.
You don't need to tweet while you're driving.
But Gambit, they don't need to wait either. They're going to go with the PL. A little bit of a quite that fast of a hero, but he has ways of getting around the Disruptor. Specifically, of course, you can always do that. Well, actually, you're not. If now with two Dispels with the lane, so Bat Rider almost is worse to go mid.
Yep.
That's a really big problem here for Winstrike.
Actually, I'm going to borrow some knowledge from BSG thing on the European stream the other day, which I really liked, is that Phantom Lancers nowadays very commonly build. This has been historically a big problem for Phantom Lancer. What do I build as transition item? Like, yeah, you want to go for Diffusal and Manta, but getting Diffusal too early, you're like, oh, it doesn't do much.
Yeah.
If you get Manta too early, you're weak for the first 50 minutes of the game.
We used to see like Yasha first item quite frequently.
And then you go for Diffusal maybe after to fight.
But this game?
But this game, Hood is perfect, and Hood has been a very popular item in Phantom Lancer, and it helps him transition from like that early game pretty nice laner role into a nice mid-game carry as well. Because Phantom Lancer is one of the carries that doesn't have a huge peaks. You know, Wraith King before and after Radiance is like a huge different hero. You know, it's like you picked a different hero, and that's why Wraith King is very easy to play around. At 20, you get Radiance, you play around that. Phantom Lancer, more of a small increments kind of hero. There's never a point where you're like, I'm ready to fight. Maybe level 25, but generally he's just good at every point of the game.
Yeah, I would slightly disagree with you there. I think a lot of the good teams will go, I have my Diffusal, let's compare and contrast what items we don't or don't have. We take one fight, but we're not going to really push anything from
compare that to Radiance, where you have Radiance, you're just going to go.
Exactly. And I knew that's what you meant, but I just wanted to explain that because it's important here for Gambit, because like you say, the PL, he does take more time to get. So you're going to want to abuse those little power spikes. I've got my Diffusal. Let's fight this Wraith King, find him, kill him. He doesn't respawn.
Yes.
We take an objective, a little bit more map control, more space for me, the PL, to farm and get that next item. That's kind of the play style here. Absolutely correct. Great thing. It is a little bit different.
And that also makes this Winstrike's lineup is theoretically easier to execute, whereas Gambit has to read constantly to know when it's right to fight. The Invoker is great against Wraith King as well. Someone pointed out that has 100% Wraith King this Winstrike does, and it's unique. But then again, they've only played one series.
They've only played one series, so
but that's pretty good though. Now let's see what Winstrike picks up I guess you put the battle on your mid versus Invoker and you pick up an offlaner. I really like the Underlord. They took that off. Centaur's kind of okay, as he tends to be.
Yeah, the Centaur's not bad.
I like Sanking
for getting out of the wall.
Sanking is really... Deals with the PL, can catch up to Dark. Not too bothered by... your lane shouldn't be too difficult either.
I still kind of prefer the Centaur.
Ooh.
Oh, this is a hero you like.
Oh, it's absolutely... Okay, okay. Why Brew is so good, I'm gonna try not to speak excitement.
He does get really excited. That's the thing, is some people go, Oliver, why do you chug so many energy drinks before you start casting? That's what everyone says.
I actually don't.
And he doesn't. He doesn't even drink it. Well, that's not true. He did coffee, but he's
Well,
just...
not today.
Yes, you did. Oh, no, you didn't. No. He's just really excited. He just really loves Dota. He's just a huge nerd.
That's true. Brewmaster pick, I actually really like a lot because Brewmaster is one of his best asset is Primal Split. And within his Primal Split, the most important asset is the Storm, right? Everyone always talks about the Earth one because it has the rock and is the easy play, but Storm, like a Brewmaster that knows his hero, is a Brewmaster that can take advantage of that Storm Brewling. And in this game, Mass Dispel is... You dispel the Darkseers, also the Oracles to some... You deal damage to the Illusions, so you your Phantom Lands. Your Cyclone can stop either Invoker from counter-initiating or Earth Spirit from initiating.
Or Darkseer.
Or Darkseer.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah, but you want to dispel him first, right? I guess you could if you are afraid of the wall.
I think even better, sorry to cut you off, but even get the Storm Brewing to just lift the Oracle and don't worry about the
That's also
promise.
true.
Yeah.
There's so many options for this Brewmaster. And one of the biggest weaknesses... But what do I do in the lane, right? His lane is only good against a certain amount of carries, but particularly against Phantom Lance or Oracle, you shouldn't struggle too much. And we've seen variation of these builds. I think in CIS, the builds I've seen in Europe as well has been the build advantage of the new Ags and the new Shards. So you play around that Primal Split, right? You get very excited with a Primal Split and you just play around that ultimate all the time, like old Brewmaster. But we've also seen in some other places, I think it was SCA in China where I saw this, where the Brewmaster plays with a new crit build. Now that your crit is a passive, on top of an active, it's much easier to play a DPS Brewmaster, and you play like a pseudo carry from the offlane. Very similar to how a Bloodseeker might play, where you have initiation and utility, but you also have a huge... because your talents are fantastic. Either or, I think the hero should be played more in the meta, but the amount of bad lane matchups he has is what really sets him apart.
Yeah, and he is, of course, extremely vulnerable to getting his Primal Split canceled, and that's notwithstanding here. The Earth Spirit is potentially a huge thorn in the side, even with a quick little silence here, could absolutely destroy the team fight here. A little bit of an interrupt from Vacuum, even if it's just level 1, can be annoying. Tornado to lift you. Cold Snap as well is going to leave yelling and yelling and yelling and ultimately dead without Primal Split.
True.
There are problems, right? But I think overall, if you get it off, it's looking great.
Yes, it's also a very good hero for a 4 Protect 1 lineup in this one particularly, because when you want to play 4 Protect 1, which is what you always play with Wraith King, you ideally want to play heroes that are strong when your 1 is weak, and not that great or weaker when he is strong, right? And Brewmaster is exactly the inverse timing of a Wraith King. In the mid game, when his Primal Split starts to fall off, he's just not that great. But the Radiants pick up on Wraith King plus 1 item will usually make up for that. And the early game, Brewmaster is at his best. And also in the late game when you get your talent. So it actually really makes up for the Wraith King's weak points, and it complements him really well. I actually really like this pick. I wasn't thinking it because I don't think of this hero anymore. He's also something I've seen Shisharkat play a fair amount in other teams, so I know he likes it.
Yeah, the one concern I would have for Gambit here, just taking about their draft, is they do kind of lack some early power push here.
Gambit?
On Gambit, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
That's going to be my concern. You got a good way to passively pressure the lane. Arcs here, Earth Spirit can nuke waves here, incredibly effective as well, especially Shoulder Smash. They run over and wave, but you don't really have such great power hitters. In fact, Darkseer is such a bad right clicker that they added a meat guard for him.
I think it's great.
Either way, I think we can both agree that the tower push, even earlier from the side of Winstrike, is looking much better, if alone because of the Shaman.
The Darkseer build as well that we saw the last time we casted him, which was build is kind of countered by Brew as well. You have a fair amount of lane clear on Bat on top of that, so I don't think it's this game, but it kind of limits Darkseer's options. You can still do it if you want that extra lane push, and you can play like a pseudo Beastmaster on but it's tough for this game, for sure. So I think the right Darkseer is more of a traditional aura carrier, mitigate the damage, help your PL early. That's what you're going to be going for. Nice body block there by Phantom M. Winstrike still slows him down, but Wraith King doesn't want to lose any farm, so Excess Vampire will be...
He caught himself there in a bit of an awkward spot. Well, so I'm surprised he wanted to test, but he's doing this just to be able to steal the creep wave. Of course, unfortunately, he aggro Blizzy's here, however, to re-aggro the creep. They're eating quite a few assets out from the Disruptor, who doesn't have an insignificant amount of damage and a pretty good attack animation. Also, he doesn't... But so far, so decent for Gambit. Of course, free lane for the Wraith King for now. It's going to get more difficult with level 2 Iron Shell. Bot lane, they're already getting annoyed by Cheshire Cat. You remember fire damage for like days I was in the game?
I hated that. I thought it was a very stupid interaction. I'm playing Pokemon or Dota? No, I like that they changed it into the magical damage. Mainly because it made Brew a viable pick. Like, are you kidding me that I'm going to pick Chakiro just to activate Brew's Cinder Brew? That's so dumb. But now with the magical damage, Brew actually can go for really nice builds here. Oracle could be in trouble. Yeah, look at this. Cheshire Cat's like, nah, I'm not a carry, dude. I don't need to farm. I can just put more pressure onto you. Nice fortunes and to spell the Cinder Brew, and he should be okay thanks to
Oh, missed uphill there, so he's gonna...
I like that the Brewmaster as well with the new Cinder Brew.
Sorry, that Bat Rider, his skin was glitched. It was just a red blimp. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, I guess because it's... Well, that's because he's turning around, though. That's what the Scarecrow looks
so
below.
confusing.
Oh, that's... Dude, Glance Value.
What hero is that?
That is kind of confusing.
It's a blimp. What is a Goodyear blimp doing here?
I mean, that Scarecrow is really creepy.
It's a nice looking skin. I'm not gonna lie.
I love it, but what is it? Though?
Why does he turn around?
Why is he riding a Scarecrow? Is that a person that he enslaved? Like, a lot of questions as Mad Rider is doing. But I think the Brewmaster with the Cinder Brew now, you can actually max Cinder Brew. You get more DPS for your mana, which used to be a big problem with this Brew. Because you want to go Face Boots on Brew, but and then Soul Ring. But if you go Face Boots Soul Ring, you still lack mana. So the Cinder Brew build has been popular to use to negate that effect. However, with Double Dispel, maybe the Thunderclap build is...
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because they are just going to be able to get rid of those pretty much for free.
Yep. We'll see. I like what Winstrike is doing. 1k lead for them. They're doing the lanes pretty well. They're playing their lanes really well. Wraithing up top is suffering a bit though, as we see Kinetic Field help him out. That's a very good place from the field. Defensive place.
Yep, that means it doesn't have Glimpse level 2, which is okay because for the most part, you have to be ready to react to this very aggressive offlane. Earth Spirit, Darkseer, they want to do one thing, and that's just run at you with double Ion Shell, especially now that we have Ion Shell 2. So being able to take the kinetic field nice and early, which is, I think, a little bit better versus the Darkseer because it doesn't let him run away from you, and you establish that very early. That would be a big benefit. This does leave our Earth Spirit, however, without any regen in the lane, so he's going to have to run his ass all the way back home for something like that.
Find Ravel and the Bad Rider. That'll be okay, actually. Not enough to bring him down. And Shaman is just much more useful when he rotates, right? Oracle sees a glimpse of Shaman, he goes, I'm out of here, guys. I can't do anything. Tornado just to get the range creep. Wow.
Yep, honestly done. I mean, he's got the regen rune active as well.
See the power of the range creep in the lane? Like that Tornado, he missed the Bad Rider, didn't care, was just to get the extra experience. Very valuable to do those things. I think a lot of people at the lower levels forget how valuable the range creep is. Your support should be taking it if you can't take it. Like these small things matter a lot, especially in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's all experience, and that's why the mid lane is probably considered, I think, by everyone, including people that used to play it and no longer do. Notably Sammy Boy. It's just the hardest lane. You have to be mechanically on top of your game all the time, otherwise you're going to fall apart so quickly against people that really just know how to take advantage of every single little mistake you make.
That's why a lot of mid laners are young. They've learned the game recently. They still have a lot of tolerance for learning and increasing their level, and also their mechanical skill tends to be slightly better. Shackles find the Oracle. Let's see, the Thunderclap as well. Pupper does dispel most of the damage, but he's still going to die. Giving the first blood to Brewmaster, huge deal, because this guy needs that kind of early game boost.
Exactly. They're going to be able to get Darkseer in the top lane as well with the kinetic field. Access Vampire looking to run away. And well, he's not going to be able to save his comrade anyway. I think you can't boulder smash anyone up. Though I'm not sure, because the way the kinetic field works, and I still believe this works, is that if you're facing kinetic field and you try and move through it, it just sets your move speed to 0.
Yes.
So you used to be able to...
Oh yeah, you could leap if you were in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But you couldn't leap if you were in the side of it.
Exactly. Or you used to be able to also similarly use pounds or Hurricane Pike active to get yourself out. As long as you move through it
Oh no,
backwards.
the Hurricane Pike, yeah, the Hurricane Pike bug was that you could use it backwards no matter what. Trichio could be in trouble. That Iron Shell, fair amount of damage, and the punch from Blizzy. See, not a meme. Look at that physical damage. Trying to go for the second kill into the Disruptor, and that was going to work out for them.
It is, yeah, nice job. They nuked the creep wave as well, so there's no danger of dying to creep. They both come out of this with very little HP, and unfortunately don't have a whole lot of regen here to use there, but they're happy to get those.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Mid lane, our Invoker has got his Urn of Shadows ready to go. He's going to be looking for perhaps his first charge, or just looking to harass and remove all the mana from Rebel. Rabel.
We apologize for butchering his name. It's just like we cannot do the
No,
PLs.
I don't have the Cyrillic pronunciation. Very difficult for Romance language people to be able to speak, generally speaking.
That's why. So we don't mean to. So if there's any Russians in the chat, you want to correct us or help us out, guide us, we're happy to. That our pronunciation. We're not trying to offend him. We're just ignorant to kind of the reality of it. Brewmaster in the bottom lane is now been left alone as we start to see more rotations from the Shaman. I think he's actually stacking for the Bat Rider as well.
He is, yeah, big old stacks here.
Okay, that's really nice actually. Is that 3 Ancients? 3 Ancients, and I think that's a triple stack on the normal camp as well.
No,
that's
just double. A single, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, that nomenclature is a bit.
It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird.
So there's two camps of creeps.
There's 2 camps waiting to be farmed, and there's 3 camps of ancients waiting.
There we go. And the Bat Rider, usually you take it in mid, actually as early as possible. I'm hoping they probably go for the 4 on the Ancient camp, because Bat Rider can take it.
Yeah,
the only difficulty though is that someone that's Bat, you need someone to tank the damage, because the
They do a ton of damage. I think there was a clip from Derax where he kicked an ogre into a triple stack ancients or something like that, and he just melts.
Phantom, okay, they go for the so much damage to the Wraith King, nice Wraithfire Blast, but the slow is not effective against Darkseer because of the Surge, of course.
Did have the glimpse there, but again, just going for it.
It was a bit tough. I don't know if he, like, because the Glimpse level 1 is such a terrible range. He uses it instead of the Earth Spirit. This time he does get it off.
Yep, and the Bat Rider's here.
Exactly. There is a lasso available. I don't think he's needed though. Just gonna kill actually Vampire with fire damage. Not there. You're misusing those spells.
Gonna lose out on this DD run here in the mid lane. Our Invoker, though, Lornoff really needs to get these Urn charges up and running, though. We've seen a Quaswex Invoker do about this well in the lane as well, farming nice and comfortably, but he's getting out-rotated by a Bat Rider, which is just naturally how this how this matchup is going to go. But that doesn't mean the Invoker can't try and gank one of these. I'd like to see him try and apply some pressure, as currently there is a pretty big deficit in favor of Winstrike here. Have the Wraith King just comfortably on top, leading by over 13. Yes.
Tactically, I think this is a tough game for the Invoker. The top lane is not an easy lane to gank with the Wraith King. Right? He might be able to get the Darkseer Earth might just be bothering them lane because they tend to just take advantage of overconfidence. Like you don't want to gank the PL either because you put more pressure there. Not like Brew is either. So as an Invoker, the mid game is really great for you, but right now, I think actually the best play is either to gank with one of your 4s, like they're doing right now, trying to create pressure up top, or just stay statically mid.
Oh, they do find the Wraith King farming, but they want the Disruptor instead. They know there's only one person that could be realistically farming there. Bat Rider, by the way, starting to farm these Ancients, but let's go ahead and ride along here for this gank, as it very well could be the first 2 stacks of the Urn of Shadows, and it's indeed looking very likely. There we go, back to our Bat Rider, and look at this, all these things are just about dead. Yeah, those gray Ancients started off...
spill all over again.
Yeah, they started off gray, by the way.
Yes, they did. Oh, they're fully covered in sludge. Happens when you drive a car, guys. Here, we use an electric van.
Oh, is that true? Is that canon now?
Yeah, that's canon as well.
Oh, no.
We're also environmentally friendly. Look at this. What a wholesome cast. Okay, now it finally finishes out the last big ink. Take too much damage from it, and I think this might give him travels. Yeah, it's very good timing for travels.
It is. They're getting their top tower pressured here, and in fact, they are going to lose their top tower first. They're going to look to apply similar pressure in this bottom lane as well. We'll hit the 10-minute mark.
Yep, the 10-minute mark, and we saw up to the net worth. Now you can see our Wraith King is leading, but honestly, Invoker and Invoker pretty farmed as well, actually beating the Bat Rider. However, what is dangerous right now is that Cheshire Cat has a really good early game, and him and Bat are more than enough to start getting kills all over the map.
That's true. It's going to be a little bit difficult for a kill onto our PL, because there's our hood, so that's going to be the one transition item. He's going to TP away from this bot lane, as that was going to be proving very, very lethal should he stick around. Cheshire Cat, as you say, already up to level 8, so he's got the ulti ready to go, but he's just going to be down this tower. They look like they want to try and apply some pressure here in mid lane, but we've got the Shaman ready to defend it, which is always a bit dicey to do. Earth Spirit at the ready to go, as is our Darkseer, who has now put 2 points surge. So it's more your traditional Darkseer build. Oh, he's just going to burn the mana off of Yamid. We've got a rotation, though, coming mid lane here. Smoke will now break off of the Bat Rider. He's going to find Excess Vampire, hit him with a Flame Break before the Silence can come through, but that will force the Fortune's End. The Static Storm here at the ready as well. A little bit less tempting to use, though, now that you don't have a lasso, but they could now put some serious pressure onto this mid-tier 1 tower without the Fortune's End available. Sorry, without the False Promise, rather.
They're kind of just going to try to backdoor. I mean, with the Brew, you have so much liberty right now. They actually dropped the snakes. Oh, did they close in Bat Rider? I don't know if that was on purpose. Nope, they definitely closed him in. Yep, and yeah, they took away his mana. He has no Firefly. They have to break a tree. Okay, it wasn't the snakes. The snakes just pushed him next to a tree.
Yeah, but that means they're going to lose these Serpent Wards very easily.
Yeah,
this Vampire making the jump. A good silence, but they need way more, and a big old crit out from the Wraith King. Drakio is here, hexed up, and now shackled to death.
Yamit's like, guys, I actually can play this game. Oh my goodness. Punishing Earth Spirit for what he did last game to Yamit, getting some sweet earned revenge. And Diracho, playing quite aggressively early because he knows he can. Using the Skeletons to push an early objective. And actually, he's going to make his own space by doing this carry is literally the definition of pulling yourself off your boot.
He is, yeah, and that's mostly to do with the fact that the Bat Rider is going to be in the jungle, still taking a lot of the farm here. Looks like he's about to have his second item here. No, he's getting pretty close to that BKB, though, already with the Ogre Axe finished on him. Be in a good spot there. Witch's Blade finished up for our Quaswex Invoker, as he's going to begin putting a couple of points here in the transition period, just beginning to start here. Still not a whole lot of damage. Invoker, of course, point, but we're going to start. Of course, he can cast certain Spinning Blast. He can pull Ice Wall, a couple other things that really be annoying should catch. For example, a Wraith King.
Let's see, with the Tornado, the MP as well, this should not be too hard to kill. No mana for Reincarnation. He did have Magic Wand, but I think it's actually better that he didn't use Reincarnation.
It is, because that's the
level
thing.
1.
If he dies, it's the easiest Ice Wall setup in the world.
Exactly.
And then there's just, what's the point?
Now Invoker's starting to be more impactful, and that's why I like this patience, right? He knew that he couldn't gank super
What a Flame
early.
Break, fortunately.
The Invoker knew this game, but he couldn't gank super early, so instead he waited a bit more patiently, and now he's starting to move around the map. This is not the usual timing for an Invoker plus Wex, but it's the appropriate for the match that he's playing. Sometimes I feel like, especially if you look at more amateur or pro divisions, a lot of people just play on default, and they go for the standard way of playing a hero. Every game of Dota is different, so you have to consider all factors, and this is something I like about Lauren. He did this really well. Very different to the game we saw from my because Lauren actually having an impact as Quaswex Invoker just a bit later.
It is, yeah, and now that he's got a couple of Resort, again, he's going to have closed spells at his disposal. They're maybe going to look for a push here in the mid-tier. For the mid-tier 1, however, that's going to be a bit dicey. They don't have anywhere to rotate to, but an Arcane Rune on the Invoker means they're willing to at least toss a couple of spells here at the supports and really actually get a skill on Disruptor. Yeah, it hurts.
I like that Witchblade build on the Invoker Wex, right? Synergizes really nicely with your Cold Snap. You also deal so much damage. Second best int gain in the game. I believe it's 4.5 a level that it gets. Pugna is 5.2.
6, we're both wrong.
All right, close though. But, but it's the second best in the game for sure. And the Witchblade, of course, works really nicely with the stats the Witchblade gives you, particularly projectile speed, really help Invoker. Because Invoker with a nice alacrity early, hey, he actually deals a fair amount of physical
damage. Look at this, we're going for the Ag's first item for Cheshire Cat.
That's what I was talking about, right? The Brood. I love the Midas though. That keeps you in the game as Brew, so you're always relevant and boosts some experience game. Surprise Hex there. Again, it's just Yamich trying to punish Earthquake for what happened last time.
It is.
He has his number, dude.
That's unfortunately not going to be quite the kill they were looking for, but a good smoke regardless. That's going to probably get that ward destroyed, however. That's providing them some pretty decent vision, so they're just about to be set to lose that. They also, but they drop Serpent Wards on top of that as well. So it's a bit of a costly sort of smoke gang. As Cheshire Cat able to evade the Cold Snap Tornado combo.
That new active for Drunken Haze is so much better now because you actually get movement speed to escape.
And I want to point something out there. He would have gotten hit by that tornado if he turned around and moved back, but he very wisely just ran forward and then moved back.
Exactly. And taking advantage of the... Because what happens with... how it works Drunken Haze now is that you don't get the super slow movement speed debuff, right? So you just go from normal speed to fast speed, normal speed, fast speed. And what you should do when you play in Brew... Oh wait, actually...
Oh, they got the blimp.
Yeah, they got the blimp. And, oh no, what is it called? The Heisenberg all over again.
Oh no, the Hindenburg.
Hindenburg.
Oh, the humanity!
Sorry. Breaking Bad in my mind. Anyway, when you play Brew and you activate that passive, if you want to really take advantage of it, what you do is you walk forward in a straight line. Wherever you're going, you walk forward when you're moving fast, and then when the movement speed doesn't work anymore for you, like when you get the small bouts of low movement speed, you turn in those bouts because your turn rate is not affected, and that way you can get the maximum ability out of that passive. Yeah. I think it's, again, they just want to murder the Earth Spirit, but Pantoja might suffer as a result as well. He's trying to outrun the PL. He managed to do so because the Hex is available. The Sunstrike will still punish him, though, and Bat is TPing right into the Brewlings because they are units, so they take advantage of this to catch up the Darkseer. They don't see him, though, because it's nighttime. Finally, they realize where he went, finishing off Pupper instead. Blizzy trying to run away, but is this surge enough? Bat Rider is just matching your movement speed thanks to the Firefly buff and also the Boots of Travel. Sticky Napalm making his turn rate really slow. Blizzy has been lassoed and finally killed off by Dyrachyo.
Yeah, Dyrachyo basically one-hit the Oracle there along with the DD rune and the crit that was at the ready. This is going to be the first fight he's showing up to now with the Radiance in tow. So he's starting to really get a lot of damage in here while building next into the BKB. This is going to negate a lot of Invoker's effective lockdown here versus he's now starting to 4 points and have some more damage.
I agree. Best build against BKB.
Definitely.
And also, because he already has the 4 points in Claws, you want to get 4 points in Claws like Old Invoker, because now Forge Spirits, when you get 4 points in Claws and Exhort, you get 2. So that's a big damage boost. Damage in the middle lane. They actually get the kill this time.
Yep.
Okay. Probably's been trying all game.
They got the kill last time, loading up with a pretty fancy schmancy no-look Sunstrike.
Oh, the Sunstrike. Is no, that killed Disruptor.
Oh, good call. Good call.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's kill Pupper then. See what Winstrike... Pantoja, sorry. They try to push back the Phantom Lancer. Really bad positioning by Phantom Lancer. There's the Master Spell, clearing the illusions, and they know which one's the real one. They false promise him, though, and he uses the pass to try to run away. Bad Rider, though, just faster than you. Zani, sorry, is capable of outrunning them as they concentrate instead their efforts on the Darkseer and get a nice little off-lane kill. But still, like, a pseudo-win by Gambit, right? Because they managed to save the Phantom.
It is, yeah, and Winstrike as well. They have to commit, or they choose to commit the Static Storm there against the Darkseer. They might be able to catch Access Vampire, however. We've got another glimpse ready in 10 seconds, and I think just too much damage here on the Bat Rider. Nice job there dodging, or blocking, rather, the Wolf Boulder. There is no escape from the Blimp.
So different, right? The impact Access Vampire is having. It's not like he's playing badly. You just have so many other ways. And you're seeing the Shaman similarly for Yamich working much better for Win. Because they don't have 5 stuns this game. They barely have any. Really, the Invoker and the Earth Spirit are the ones that are going to cancel a Shackle. The Vacuum on a Shaman, that feels pretty just to cancel.
Yeah, it does, but sometimes it's the right move.
No, of course. I'm just saying that in this game, realistically, you have 2 ways of canceling that Shackles without really committing a big ulti. You have Axe now and Brew. This gives you 2 charges of Primal Split and allows you to stop Primal Split anytime if you want to and go on to whichever ruling you want. So instead of spawning always into the Earth Spirit or the Earth ruling, you will spawn onto whichever one you click, if you choose to do it. So what's really good about this is that a really good Brewmaster wait till the end of the duration and just...
Exactly. Traditionally, in case you don't know, Brewmaster's not really been the most picked for the past 2-3 years even, right? I want to say.
Ever since DI4, I don't think he's had a ton.
Yeah, so if you don't know, he always, generally, without the X, is going to respawn back on the Earth Brewling, which has magic immunity, no matter what. Unless you kill the other ones, then I think it respawns on the Storm and then the Flame.
Yeah, that's the... And then finally Void. Now that they had.
Oh yeah, now there's a Void. That's right, actually. I completely forgot.
So that's the last one.
So that's going to be the last one. So I don't know if it's order of release or whatever, but either way. But now with the choice, right, before you would have a lot of people keep alive a certain Brewling and then just surround it and wait for it to time out. No longer do you have that luxury.
Exactly. That's actually pretty good. It gives Brewmaster a lot more viability. Also makes him infinitely harder, but Oracle, Shackles, easy kill. I don't think they're going to struggle too much. There's no DPs. They're not going to take Oracle.
No.
We get some free Kentucky Fried Chicken here.
He goes, hey, you tanked the smoke, dude. Nice job.
And there, Winstrike. So the Brewmaster now with this lag, by the way, I think becomes genuinely the hardest hero. This Primal Split is crazy how many things you have.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Like what bruling you want to go into, the spacing of your brulings, make sure you don't lose the valuable one, particularly the fire one, which might be able to get you out of a team fight. There's so many things to... But a good player, we'll see. It just bedazzles you. I think Cheshire Cat's been playing a really solid game.
I agree. We're going to see
Dire's bottom tower.
top lane. They might have actually been able to find our PL. He's going to be looking for the TP out. They have, however, the lasso to cancel him. He has a lot of spells to use here. The Darkseer as well running on over, but he's completely alone, which means that Yamich has more than enough control for him.
Love that shot gets the board. And take another kill on the Phantom Lancer. Gambit, you need to recover this game, and they're actually kind of starting to struggle. And the Wraith King is getting his tempo now. I think we could say Wraith King is online, right?
I'd agree, yeah. He's going to be finishing off the BKB now. In fact, now he has it.
These are the two core items. You're set. I'm surprised to still see Wraith Kings going...
Bounty.
Because it used to be really good because it gives you more crits, right? So that's why people used to build it, and it's farming dramatically for what it is. It's anymore.
Gives you a bit more sustain, right, in the early levels as well, because that's not dependent on your crit, it's just dependent on you damaging.
Sure, like you get a bit more heal. I get it, but I'm just surprised.
No, I totally get it, yeah.
The best Wraith King players don't use the
Disruptor is dead. He makes an effort to dodge that one. Good tornado to counter-initiate. Long stun, though, on the Earth Spirit. He's going to try and go invis, but they push him right underneath the tier 1 tower, giving them the true sight and enough vision and time kill.
Vampire, another kill. Right now, he is kind of playing that role of dead laner slash creep wave cutter, right? Because you don't have anyone else as well in your team. Darkseer will soon be able to do this as he's built Ags. A bit risky a build because of the Master Spell and the Brew, but still powerful. And since he didn't go for Necros, it's okay. You're not gonna kill your summoned units. This Ags is much more to give Iron Shell to probably the PL Illusion.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that it dispels is a little bit because you're gonna of that 375 effective HP. It doesn't count as a heal, so it's not blocked by any traditional things like Ice Blast, like Vessel, or anything like that. It's much like Essence Ring. It just programs to go through. Otherwise, it would be busted on here.
Radiant are scanning.
Right, that's true.
It's just extra match HP. Yeah.
And that means that, of course, the spell then takes the...
Yes, exactly.
Taking more damage, yep. It's essentially like a Timber Saw existing in the game, right? Whirling Death to a Strength. Or an Undying, sorry, the DK, that's better.
Gonna look for a fight mid, smokes on smokes, but Gambit in a good position here, holding on to the high ground as Drakio gonna head right on in, popping the smokes here, does not care. So he's gonna go for more now. We hear now the Primal Split as they're looking to push back, and they have found Lornoff completely alone, forced to pop the BKB, Tornado EMP now onto 2. But the Serpent Wards have been dropped. They are gonna block him in, but not for too much longer. There's gonna be now the Ghost Walk, but in the meantime, they've left the PL behind. Oh no, and he is going to go down yet again, dead for 50 seconds. Cheshire Cat now dominating. They're holding down the Oracle as well. Yamich just has free reign to hold down whoever he wants. In the meantime, another lift there onto the Earth Spirit. They're going to pull him right back down. They've got plenty of detection on hand, and that's going to be the third fatality of this fight.
You check for a second the PL Death Summer. I can only imagine that he got glimpsed. I was hoping it would show. I don't know why it was there. Also, I don't understand, because he got caught by a Static Storm kind of by surprise. You're up against a Shaman, so anytime that you're fighting alone, so the PL style is that usually because of your mobility, because you're hard to kill, you like cutting into the back line and getting quick kills on supports. But with a Shaman, you can't do this because you need a buddy system. With a Shaman, you always need someone with you to cancel those shackles. In this case, it seemed like Excess Vampire was fulfilling that role. We've already seen that Disruptor has his number, and they're gonna punish Excess Vampire there with a really nice Static Storm.
Yep, and that's the nice part about playing Disruptor. When you are ahead, and are ahead 11 Roshan, it's amazing because you can pull back anyone, you can glimpse basically anyone without fear of a team. Right? There are times when you, especially in pro games, where they'll thank the Disruptor for glimpsing them. Oh, thank you, I got 3 kills, or thanks, you saved my life. That doesn't really happen when you're playing Disruptor ahead. And
exactly, you're about killing potential.
Yeah, I mean that's the second time he's glimpsed Yell, and it's both times it's led to kill. Normally, I mean, but if it peels ahead, that's going to be just a kill onto the Disruptor.
And it's hard to avoid now because what happens is that we'll still be moved, and if you're in the invulnerability state. Remember they changed that much. Like with Astral, if you get glimpsed as Doppel, it won't necessarily put you in the extra spot. So what you want to do is that glimpse completes by the time that your Doppel completes as well. So the Doppel will supersede, the Doppel movement will supersede the glimpse, which is not the case if you avoid it with the wrong time. It's a bit hard. Cheshire
Oh,
Cat
they
has
burned the
double
mana?
split though, so he's
No,
fine.
he got
I think it's
BKB.
BKB just to ensure that you can get the split off. Not great, to be honest. Kind of a waste of the BKB and a waste of the split. But at least it saved him.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to actually escape here pretty scot-free off the back of this one.
Yeah, we'll see. Cheshire Cat, he still has, of course, you see the split being used there to turn back into the storm, not the earth. But he still has the double charge. I guess he has to wait a bit longer. They take the tier 2 down. Oh, Wraith King.
Wraith King was there, yeah.
Skeletons are annoying. I do find that Wraith King has been playing a really good game, though. We talked about how Wraith King is a very static hero pre-Radiance, but not the case this game, honestly. He took advantage of PL's weak in points of inflect to just murder the Gambit lineup and really put pressure in the early game. Take objectives early, take away the map control that Gambit wanted to have. I think Winstrike is...
They really are, yeah. I think they're back to the shape in game number 1. Gambit, they've had moments of brilliance here and there. Here, I don't just use the Intel catchphrase here.
Oh,
just, you know, off the back of my head, that's what happens when you hire me for an ESL event.
They do have great processors.
They really do have great processors. That is very true. And Gambit, they've been processing this game as best as they could. I think really Winstrike are just coming hard and fast. As Cheshire Cat just being incredibly annoying. He's got BK now, so he can very reliably get it off. He's going to be going now for the Bruling, the Void Bruling. There's a fight kicking off. Excess Vampire. Oh, but look, they've caught the Invoker. Hexed up and now Shackles. But there's going to be now finally the Vacuum to interrupt. That's going to allow Loran to get off the BKB as well as the False Promise with 2 BKB defeated heroes just chewing on the Earth Spirit. He's gone down in exchange, however, for our Position 5 Disruptor.
They got Starks here as well. Easy kill for them. Oh, the lasso might secure the kill onto the Phantom Answer. All right, this man felt a bit voyeuristic today, was watching the team fight unfold as he now loses all of his illusions in a matter of seconds, and he himself will lose his life. Bad Rider wants to go even further. Firefly still activated. We have an H on him. Pubber, I don't know if you can really dive this hard. Apparently, doesn't seem afraid. Sunstrike used, and Rabel will know to chill.
Nice.
Fate Edict should save Oracle towards the end. Tornado punishing Rabel for playing a bit too aggressively with the last bit of alacrity damage to finish him off. We do have a rolling boulder available. Will they time it correctly? They won't. So that's the dead excess Vampire.
Yeah, it could be even more, actually, as the Oracle Pumper just getting ran down by the Brulings. The boulder being hurled and ultimately unnecessary. That'll be the new rock for his headstone there as he's dead for 30 seconds. Does have the buyback, but no ulti, so no point in using that to try and save Lauren off, who's now dead for a full minute. Now I'm feeling it's a Cheshire Cat. I can't blame him. 17, now 18k up, and this is bound to be at least the mid lane of Barracks, but they're going to respect the buyback up from the Invoker and go ahead and back off. PL back to 3. Makes it a little bit too dicey to continue pushing.
So well, honestly, wins. And I think Gambit, though, are starting to make a couple really egregious mistakes, right? That PL walking to the high ground after seeing two of your cores die. They're cores too, you know. What do you think you could do above them, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think you can escape that? Especially because if you're keeping in mind all the ultimates from the enemy team, which you should be doing in a pro game, you know the lasso is available.
You know the lasso is available, and of course, keeping pace of your ultimates, you also know that there's no false promise available. It was used to save the Invoker. He was able to get off the BKB. He died completely, basically, took Shaman. But like you're saying, the Darkseer was able to vacuum wall combo. Even then, it wasn't the greatest thing. Invoker does manage to escape, but it's not quite the bit needed stage. 4th fight after that. Yeah, we're gonna continue to reap the consequences now. Looks like a tier 2 most likely coming. We are gonna get at least a fortify because they did have to knock down the 2. But even without Aegis, well, Red King's built in with 1, and I think they're just about ready to go back up to high ground.
Don't want to use the fort.
No, but they will probably have to use it here.
100%. He's going for Swift Blink, by the way. I think the Blink Dagger changes were also a huge buff to Wraith King because he loves that item, and now you can actually build a Blink Dagger that gives you stats.
PL's farmed his buyback, so that's what the Fortify is for. Earth Spirit's quite close as well. Looks like he just bought an item. No, not quite. Different wards drop. That's going to force the issue.
He's got an extra level there. Yeah. I don't understand exactly what that was.
I'm not sure.
Right. He has it now, so
He has it now.
Dota. Okay, sure. Cold Snap to Dracho. I mean,
That's a
Dracho's like,
spicy meatball.
he's okay with losing the reincarnation anyway. He has BKB when he comes back. They try to take him away with the Diffusal Blade MP as well. He activates BKB to make sure the MP doesn't hit him.
Yeah, he can. He still doesn't have the shard. He's not gone for it, so
He should consider buying it just to play safe.
I agree. Versus a PL, I think it provides too much value. Sunstrike is going to do no damage to him. What? How many points in Exhort do we have? Excuse me, did that not hit him?
It does pierce BKB
It does,
100%.
I mean, he didn't even and have the BKB up. It must have been this, but Roshan anyway.
He's asking himself.
Yeah,
I agree, Pantomime. What weathermancy is
thought
that?
that hit him.
Seems like a very terrible Sunstrike. That's the dumbest thing, by the way, that one of your characters in the game, the lore, is that he's a weatherman.
Why is that dumb?
I just thought it was hilarious, dude.
Nice.
There's like sorcerers and magic users, and Invoker's just a sorcerer, right? Even though he invokes the elements.
Clearly you have not lived in an area that's prone to natural disasters.
Yeah, but well, Invoker summons a meteor. What do you call that but a natural disaster? When the Sunstrike hits you, is that not a natural disaster?
No.
So when I go out in the sun and
Does
get
the sun
burned to a crisp,
Does that normally? Is that what you think happens when you get sunstriked?
yeah,
You
you get a sun.
no, it's not a force of nature. That's
You get
kinda,
sunburns. It's like what happened in
that's the
Australia.
scary part about
Isn't that the ozone layer attacking you?
You gotta come live with me one summer in Illinois with the wrath of nature control.
I'm a European, dude. I told you. If we have 5 centimeters of snow, our system collapses.
Yeah, exactly. And you think a weathermancer is weak?
No, he would kill Spain.
Yeah.
All of Spain sees us to fist. Let's see. Can they take the Rex now?
These top lane of barracks are gonna cease to exist pretty soon at this rate.
Yes. Another Primal Split. They have 2 charges this time, so that's why they use 1 for the demolish.
Dracula's out of oh no, he's got the shard. It doesn't matter.
Oh, and you're like, oh hey, Ags doesn't really matter. I'm just a Cyclone. You then master spell all your Iron Shells.
Yep. Zani, I mean, he frankly just doesn't have any damage as soon as Dracula's out of the mana. They're going to drop the Serpent Wars as they continue to fight onto the backlines they go. But a BKB up on Yamich, and there's going to be now just a reversal there on the Flaming Lasso. In the meantime, they have caught the Earth Spirit. He's going to be shackled down by Yamich. They got plenty of damage for him to follow up. He's got the buyback. Sunstrike might just catch Dracula. Nope, it's going to be split along with the Disruptor.
Lizzie also in trouble. That Great Fire Blast does get reflected with the Lotus Sword, but he's still dead. And Duracho, by the way, still has his reincarnation and been able to kill him once. In the backline, Invoker finally managed to get the kill on Yamich. That's one support then at least, to kill the Disruptor as well. So you get some minor kills and take away their team fight. We're out of splits now, and Phantom Lands are still alive. The vacuum doesn't quite get them close enough to the wall, so they're getting replicas. That's getting Darkseer dead a second time. That's a dieback for him, but the Invoker again, Lornoff, is the reason why they're getting kills this engagement. Managed to finish off the Batrider, who immediately buys back the Wraith Fire Blast onto the Illusion, but they're still chasing after the Phantom Lancer, who is going to be saved by the False Promise. And the Oracle in trouble as they kill the Disruptor in the backlines, thanks to Lornoff yet again. But the fight continues in the enemy high ground, and now the target is the Phantom Lancer, the most important target here.
He's got buyback, though.
He has buyback, and he will use it. Can they defend, though? It's 3 versus 3. It's a fair matchup, theoretically. But Duracho still has 2 lives. They take away his mana. He doesn't have the shard. They're going instead for Shishakat. Much more valuable kill. He doesn't have the flip yet, just yet. Lornoff running away from the Wraith King, but the Meteor will guarantee the kill into Shishakat. And now Duracho is completely alone. And by some kind of miracle, Winstrike sort of defends this.
They do. They hold on for now. It's a bit costly. They have to expend the only buyback they had in their arsenal, but it was also a little bit costly for the side of Winstrike, who buy back on the Batrider as well. A strong fight, though, here by the side of Gambit, as they will hold on. Not quite against all odds, but this Wraith King is very, very farmed. And a good hold. They will lose, however, their top lane of Barracks. They lose the mid lane of Barracks, so they are not without, you know, losses here, and those are quite heavy losses indeed. It's going to be a bit harder for you to find the farm to get back in the game, and those 2 lanes constantly pushing in, especially in the mid lane, are going to be quite a pain in the side. 10-second BKB.
Oh my goodness!
On
Did you see Lornoff? Look what he's building.
Is it Divine?
Yes. Oh no! What? Guys, I am not insane. We just saw it.
It's okay, Alvo.
People in the stream. He had Divine queued. He's trolling.
It's okay. I understand. Sometimes it happens.
Anyway, Lornoff has been a huge impact this game. I think his early swapping into Exort was the right build this game because his impact as a late game Invoker is still there. And I think he's keeping the team. Xani at this point understands that all he can do is realistically wait out the team fights and hope that keep on fighting long enough for the Invoker to deal the damage. It's not like Phantom Lancer is known for his DPS anyway.
Exactly. The issue now, though, for this Invoker is that the BKBs, well, it was a 9-second BKB rather on Shaman. We actually still have quite a long duration BKB on our Wraith King for this stage of the game. It's going to be now at 7 seconds.
7 is respectable.
I believe our Bats is down to 5, however. 7 seconds as well, and actually with the Octarine Core, that's going to be much less effective downtime. See here, Gambit, they are going to be set to lose Roshan number 2, Aegis and Shees in tow. They're going to scout it now with the Sunstrike. And they make a play here is the question, and I think the answer is no.
The difference between 7 and 6 seconds on BKB is massive. Usually that's the threshold between pretty much invulnerability for the whole team fight and, okay, there's actually a chance to attack you and fight you and kill you, right? Now the Roshan will fall. Aegis goes to the Batrider, of course. Because if you give it to the Wraith King, it's just redundant.
Does he say that as well?
I don't think so.
Because I know that's Ricky's line when he gets invulnerability. And he, sorry, invisibility.
Yeah,
And
no,
he gets...
I don't think so. Nice Sunstrike onto the range creep. Why not? A little bit more efficiency there. That's going to get him a little bit closer now.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Nice. Continue locking down here the big red blimp, who's BKB quite long. Yamach, though, is going to be a real problem here on Shaman. They actually don't have any... So if he gets a shackles off onto someone and he's BKB'd, they just got to sit. That's not true, because they can hit him with the false promise. That'll get rid of it.
Oh, that's true. They have one that dispelled.
Oh, no, now they have a Lotus. The two things there to dispel now the shackles.
But Lotus is a basic dispel. I think it's going to dispel.
Well, not...
The false promise is a hard
strong
dispel.
dispels only. You know what?
Yeah, exactly. So it's only false promise. And Lotus, you can use it to prevent the shackles from coming out, though. Shackle himself, and that immediately cancels it, of course.
Well, unless he's BKB.
Unless it's BKB, that's true. Oh, I don't know how the bug works, because Sunder goes through BKB when you load.
I would be surprised if Shack.
I mean, me too, but I'd be surprised with a lot of things in Dota, like the toss bug. Still in the game.
Dota is a game of exceptions, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's like actually the Spanish language. Same with our verbs. It's a language of exception. Every verb in Spanish is irregular to some. Not every, but a lot.
Got a little bit of a flanking maneuver trying to be set up here by the side of Gambit. They might actually be able to get away with this one as they see one tower left, and they're going to go for it here in the bottom lane. That D-ward, though, is going to cut the vision that Gambit desperately needs to get the engagement they're looking for, but now they go. They've been scouted on the back lines, and the smoke's going to break. They're going to be able to lasso up the Darks here. He's immediately getting chunked down. They don't catch anyone in the static storm. However, Blizzy's still alive, but for how much longer as his Oracle gets chunked down? The Wraith King immediately jumping onto him, or make that rather the Bat Rider. Has to spell as now the Darkseer is down. They have managed to find the Shaman. Can they get a kill onto him in the meantime? Sunstrike, but in the meantime, it's going to be the PL falling solo. The Hex, they've managed to catch him. Can he get off anything here in the meantime? As he is just continuing to get ran down Invoker with a nice tornado as the buyback out from Excess Vampire trying to do whatever he can, but Johnny just being ran down. He needs to run even faster. Here's Lornoff back in the fight. They will manage to stop the Shackles. Still alive with that PL, but can't survive long enough. 4 heroes dead for Gambit, and they will throw in the towel.
Well, Lornoff did what he could, honestly. I think he played a really good match on this Invoker, but unfortunately, the draft didn't play him any favors, and that pick on Brewmaster. It's fantastic, dude. Seriously, I can't believe I've actually watched the game, and I can say it in a cast that it was the Brewmaster pick that won in the game. I am beyond excited, dude. I'm going to go play Brewmaster right now.